All right. So weird, these glasses, they like reflect this light. So guys, once again, we have another night together. Probably an hour and a half. That's what I always say, but we God willing, it flows nicely and it continues. Let's see if TikTok's going to be our friend today. When TikTok is friendly, it shares. When it doesn't, it doesn't. So share the light, TikTok. You guys can help by liking and following. Liking and following. Look, it tells you, look, more likes can attract viewers. Keep it up. So keep it up. The only show on TikTok that's Orthodox. Religiously Jewish. Let's keep it like that. I don't even like the term Orthodox. I don't even think Orthodox people like the term Orthodox. Okay. Thanks for the likes. Cool, guys. Let's keep it interesting. Have you considered becoming Jewish? Well, it might be for you. It might not be for you. For some reason, people consider that proselytizing. Who cares? So I sacrifice animals. It's interesting. I guess we sacrifice animals every time we eat, right? We say a blessing, the same blessing that's said, or that was said when animals were sacrificed in temple times, is actually the same blessing that's said by a shochet when they do the whole process called shchita. So what's a sacrifice but a barbecue, essentially? In the vast majority of cases. All right, TikTok. It's Mishmar. Let's get the views up. Up, up, up. All right, there we go. Like, follow, like, follow. Okay, shalom, shalom. Shalom and blessings. Let's see. All right. Shout out to Omri. Okay. Let's make it fun. Let's make it educational for both of us. I learned the most by dialoguing. Interesting screen name. Okay. Let's see. Hello, Layla. What are your thoughts on Natzarim? I guess those are people from Natzarat, followers of Jesus, Nazarenes. I don't know. I don't separate the world by believers in Jesus and people who don't believe in Jesus, but people who commit themselves to the ethical standard we find in Torah that's called being Israel, being in the covenant, and people who don't. I don't care who you believe the Messiah is, not important to me. I have been converting for over 15 years. That is, it's a shame if they've made you wait that long. In behalf of the Jewish people, I apologize. All right, next question. Gosh, TikTok's not on our side today. Like the show, guys. The more you like it, the more interesting it'll get, I promise. How are your sins atoned for? Well, the truth is, there's a difference between atonement and forgiveness, at least according to the Bible. What does atonement fully mean? I don't really know. I don't think anyone knows. Almost like a resetting. Kapara, it's like a covering. But in exile, the only thing that's available to us is forgiveness, not atonement. Atonement occurs in the land, only really in the land. So, yeah. How are not just my sins atoned for, how are your sins atoned for outside of the land? And the land doesn't mean necessarily Israel. It means Israel in a redeemed state. So we're all in our sins from that perspective. However, forgiveness is possible. Someone says, I like men. Okay. Salam, shalom, and hello, everyone. Okay, hello to you. Atonement is more a political forgiveness. I like that. I like that interpretation. It makes sense, at least according to the text. Political in the sense, I would say, political, I guess, from the word polis, like limited to the city, Jerusalem? That makes sense. The place that God chose. Do you think foot washing is a form of atoning? No. At least it's not articulated like that in the Bible. Okay.
Hey.
Welcome, servant. Hold on, let me put up the volume here. Good evening.
David. So, why haven't you converted to Judaism already?
Uh, that's the title.
Yeah. So, who, like, there's Islam, there's Christianity, which is me. Out of all the Abrahamic religions, yeah, who'd go
Go with the
back to.
oldest.
No, you know why? Yeah. Who'd want to go back to the old, like, who'd go back to Judaism when there's a New Testament?
Right. Well, it depends what kind of shopper you are. If you appreciate, something that's old because it's original, that's one perspective. Things that are
Yeah.
new, they've had time to kind of tweak, like man-made tweaks to make it more palatable, make it seem more sophisticated. But you can't really improve on the original, especially when all the ethics that appear in the New Testament and the Quran come
Come
from
from the
the
old.
original.
Yep.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
come from the Old Testament, kind
Yeah.
of.
So then, what did Christianity really bring to the table? But narrative and metaphysics. That I can make up. Uh, I think if ethics could have been so easily made up, it would have been, right? Before the Torah was given. But the Torah appeared at a time that people behaved worse than animals and gods behaved worse than people. So, by that simple fact alone, I think you're better off choosing what's older.
Yeah, but let's look at Jesus' teachings
Yeah. I
because
like his teachings,
that's
by the way. I'm not a
you like them.
Christian. I'm not a Christian, but
Yeah,
he said a
that's
lot of
good.
great ethical things.
He did. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like since he said some great ethical things,
But he didn't
that's
say anything new.
no.
No, like all his ethical teachings were rooted in biblical concepts.
Yeah, because he did say that one jot would be. You told me before, I forget that
Well,
one
will not
jot.
like fall away, or like one jot or one tittle will not
Yeah.
disappear from the law till everything is fulfilled, or something like that. Well, that's not an
Yep.
ethical statement. I mean, that's more of a Christian theological statement, because
Okay.
what
So
has to
what?
be fulfilled according to the Torah. Yeah.
All right. Like having hate in your heart, he says you commit murder. So like just to have hate. So he set the ethics pretty high. You think?
Oh, I don't know if that, you know, I wouldn't consider that an ethical statement because sometimes it's healthy to hate. It says, now this isn't in the Torah,
Yeah.
but King David says, "God, I hate those who hate you." So, and it also says, you can't love good unless you hate evil. Yeah, no, hate is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're supposed to hate sin. Even Jesus says hate you. Yeah. Kind. Jesus one time said hate to follow me if they hate your sister. Yeah, you're right. Yep. He says hate your brother, hate your family, and then pick up
I
the
hate
cross.
Antifa.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you like Jesus' teaching, but you don't follow the New Testament.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rabbinical teachings that I like, but I don't elevate those rabbis to the level of some Messiah or God. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
can appreciate Jesus and not like worship Jesus. I mean, I can
Yeah.
appreciate you and not worship you.
Yeah. But he is the Jews are the chosen people.
Only Jews who choose to be chosen.
Yeah, but Jesus was a Jew, and he says his so he came to save the lost sheep of Israel, but he also came for the Gentiles to cling on to the lost the house of Israel, which is us. But
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what I.
all for that,
Yep.
that teaching. I'm all for bringing Gentiles into the house of Israel, by the way.
Yep. But that's it. I mean, I talked to you many times, but it's just like I don't know. I don't really. You see a few people convert. I don't think you see a lot of people go to Judaism.
Yeah, that's true. The
Yep.
reason why it's because of Jews, because Jews don't have an open door policy. Although they do allow conversions, they make it difficult, and they shouldn't, because Jewish law says the opposite.
Oh,
We're supposed to make it easy. So yeah, you can help fix Judaism by converting. There's a lot you can do.
there's a what?
There's a lot you can do by converting to
Oh,
Judaism.
yeah. I think it's law. Yep. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, bro.
Yep.
Thanks.
God
Let's just
bless.
talk to you.
You too.
All right, welcome. Christians are welcome. Muslims are welcome. I guess atheists are welcome too. Yeah, but not so welcome. Yeah, fine. There's a war in this world between those who are biblically sensitized and those who are not, who war against everything. I mean, you give them a little bit of power, and they're somewhat tyrannical. And I'm not talking about religious people. I'm talking about the left. It's a right-left divide. And for those who claim that being atheist is not a religion, because how can you in some way be put in a box if you don't believe in anything? I would say atheistical individuals agree more with themselves than religious individuals agree with other religious people. Like cookie cutter, put your mask on, booster shots, pronouns, encouraging young women to have their breasts removed. All this, it's almost cookie cutter accepted by people who are atheistical, while religious people have an array of different beliefs. But yeah, it's a shame. All right, guys, keep it coming. Keep it coming. Oh, shout out to my friend Imus. Yes, she's, I would say, the most reasonable, irreligious person I know. What are the requirements for Judaism? To become Muslim, technically, but you're submitting to God's law, not necessarily to God. Right? It's kind of like catch-22 here, because truth be told, the reason we believe in God is because of the Torah. We don't really believe in Torah because of God. So what are you really submitting to? Right? You're submitting to the Torah. Right? What makes the Torah special? Well, it's because it's clearly was inspired by some divine, some superhuman force, especially because the time it first appeared on the scene. So yeah, I don't know. Guilt, witchcraft for women. Torah was yes. Let's see. Circumcision for men. Would you debate Dr. Brown? I've debated him 5 times. Go on YouTube, type in Asher Meza, Dr. Brown. Or it's on my channel. Go to TorahJudaism.org under media and debates, and you'll see 5 debates between me and Dr. Michael Brown. He's a nice guy, very smart guy. Okay, so why not be a Muslim? Why not be the most recent, well, it's not the most recent attempt for some sort of monotheistic offshoot. I think that would be probably Mormonism. But, well, they don't claim to be monotheistic, right? Mormons for sure don't. They say they believe in 3 gods. Christians acknowledge that they believe in one, but they explain it in 3 different ways, whatever. At least it's very important how one identifies. So I guess monotheist is a Christian pronoun. How does God view the current state of affairs today in America? War, trans, woke. God would align with the right, obviously. Mormons believe Jesus is on a star next to the moon. I don't make fun of people's theological beliefs, although they may seem outlandish. You should see what Jews believe. And I'm not limiting it to the Torah. Orthodox Jews believe, and I'm Orthodox, right? But I don't believe everything Orthodox Jews believe. But if you see the tons of midrashim that say the wackiest things, right? Yeah, but you guys wouldn't make fun of any Mormon beliefs, no matter how dumb. I'm quoting South Park. I love Mormons. Okay, what's up, Asher? How you've been Hebrew Hammer. Hello, my friend Hebrew Hammer. One of the most articulate men on TikTok. Here we go. Sure. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm familiar with that statement. Well, so the stone Chumash, like for those who don't know, is the version of the Torah that's translated by Art Scroll. There's one that's another English translation called the Gutnick, which is the Chabad version. And I said that Christian translations are actually more accurate to the plain Hebrew than Jewish translations.
Okay, yeah, right.
Now,
Yeah.
with the exception of the JPS, I would say that JPS is probably the most accurate Jewish translation out there. Now, clearly, the ideal is to be able to read the Hebrew. But we're
Of
talking about
course.
translations into English or Spanish or anything. Now, the
Right.
reason why is because many times Art Scroll will translate a verse according to what Rashi says that verse should mean based on Midrash. Christians would never do that. And the Gutnick does this all the time. And sometimes they'll skip like something that Rashi doesn't want you to know and just skip right over it. They've kowtowed to the rabbis, and I believe in the rabbis, but it's just a commentary. And,
So do you think it's not for someone who's trying to me, trying to learn and trying to gain a deeper understanding? Would you not recommend the Stone edition? Would you say, hey, you should stop and start all over?
No. I do recommend it, but there are sections that it's not going to change your theology. But there's one off the top of my head that it says that God is going to rejoice with your enemies at your demise if you don't keep the Torah, and then Rashi changes it and says that he's gonna rejoice with you against your enemies. Like he completely changes it because of I don't want to say Kabbalah. Kabbalah didn't really exist in the time of Rashi, but because of mystical interpretations based on Agadah, like based on like Midrash Rabbah and Yaakov and stuff like that. But it's a common thing. So people don't like it because, okay, there's distortions in Christians, like in Christian Bibles, but not really in the Chumash. But the distortions appear more in the prophets because
Got it.
the five books of Moses they don't really deal with any messianic concepts so clear. But I'll tell you, I even saw, was it Art Scroll that even put do not kill instead of do not murder, while the NIV put do not murder. So sometimes
that I'll pay attention to. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm about 2/3 of the way through Genesis, so I haven't gotten there quite yet. So when I get there, I'll keep an eye out and see if they do change it to that.
That's not a distortion, by the way. It's just contextually it means like do not, whatever. I forgot. I can't say these words on TikTok because the word is used. Oh man, can you hear this? Is a breaking car. Alarm went off. It's used interchangeably. But yes, that's the only reason I said it. I'm not endorsing Christians, and clearly there's no Christian Bible but there is a Christian Bible that only gives you the Chumash. It's called the Pentateuch. I don't know if it's like a Yale edition, this and that. But people typically trash Christian translations. I think the King James Version I think the average person acknowledges that it's one of the closest translations. There's a Christian version called the Young's Literal Translation. That's probably one of the best translations out there. But it contextually, it doesn't make so much sense because it tries to translate it contextually like how you would say it in Hebrew. There's another version called the Amplified Bible that gives you like 5 different possible words for every Hebrew word of what it could mean. So it's probably like 8 times
Longer.
the size.
Right.
But if you really want to know, see, Christians believe in sola scriptura. So that keeps them a lot more honest than Jews especially Orthodox Jews, who elevate midrashim, like all this folklore and legend, to a divine level. That's the only reason, But yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I'm reading it. Look, I think that I'm definitely willing to swim upstream and go against the grain of what everyone else thinks. So even when I'm reading the commentary, I'm not just reading it and going everything that it said. Like I'll read the commentary and go, I don't necessarily agree with that, or that doesn't make a lot of sense, or boy, that's kind of a reach for what's actually being said in the, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not in the commentary like it's, coming, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am reading it, I wouldn't say with a skeptical eye, but definitely with an open mind to the possibility that I don't necessarily have to agree with everything that Rashi said or whomever. But I was just wondering if you thought it was okay enough to finish reading.
85% of Jewish commentaries are not real commentaries. It's a way to fill in the gray area in the text,
right,
with rabbinic ideas. The best commentary, and you know what I'm going to say, the Rational Bible ever made, the best honest commentary.
Okay, that leads me to my next question. Because I don't know if he mentioned it or not, or if he did, I missed it. But from where is he getting? Because I'm noticing that the Rational Bible is shorter. Like, the verses are edited. I don't know if it's short. It doesn't seem to have the depth of language that the Stone edition has, right? Like, a certain verse will be not as long. So where did he get his translation from? Did he even say where he? I might have missed it.
No, the Hebrew. I mean, he's
translating it himself.
Correct. Well, so the Rational Bible.
Got it. Okay.
I gotta send you this, because I used to work for Dennis Prager.
I know. Yeah, I know.
He sent me the whole audio series that became the Rational Bible. Years and years of him translating the Bible verse by verse, and I have probably like 40 hours of him, translating from the Hebrew and giving his commentary. So the guy who put the Rational Bible together was a guy who transcribed all these things into a book, and then Dennis Prager came in and just added the finishing touches. So, send me your email on TikTok.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll send you and everything from Genesis all the way to Deuteronomy, going verse by verse.
Okay.
And yeah, this gave birth to the Rational Bible. Got it.
Okay. Yeah. Because I wanted to gain a better understanding. I haven't gotten to the prophets. I'm still 2/3 of the way through Genesis. So obviously I've got a ways to go. Probably will take me through the end of the summer, but I want to read all the books, in order. But obviously I want to read the versions that are, I don't know, how do I phrase this?
Yeah, you're not going to notice any difference. I mean,
okay.
It's so subtle.
Okay.
But I'm sure Dennis Prager will keep it real and not, who cares? I don't want to be rude, but who cares about Rashi? His grandson, the Rashbam, made the best commentary. Apart from Dennis Prager's, because it's the most literal one. And in the introduction of the Rashbam's commentary, he said that his grandfather Rashi failed in his attempt to give a commentary to the Torah. Because in the beginning of Rashi's commentary, he says that he was going to strive to do a literal commentary, and then out of nowhere, he shifted into a midrashic commentary. So the Rashbam says, I'm going to finish my grandfather's work, and he does the most literal commentary from a rabbinical perspective. Like, he's one of the Tosafists. The Rashbam is up there with Rabbeinu Tam and Avram Ager, all the rabbis from France that were descended from Rashi. And most people don't like quoting him because his commentary goes against what a lot of rabbis teach today. For example, he says that according to the literal understanding of the Chumash, the day begins when the sun goes up, not when the sun goes down. But he acknowledges that rabbinical authority was given to the Sanhedrin to decipher however they saw fit. So we have to do what Sanhedrin says. He also says in that portion of Totafot Benenecha, to put the law between your eyes and on your heart, he says that's poetic, symbolic, and hyperbolic. It has nothing to do with actually putting tefillin on. But he acknowledges that the court has the authority, to illustrate this any way they want to.
Right.
So this is a level of honesty that a rabbi today will not tell you. Even though it doesn't make sense to him, he will check his brains at the door and just say, if the rabbi said it so, it's like God said it. This is the Kabbalistic nosedive that we've taken. But his commentary, I don't think exists in English. But probably Safaria has parts of it. It's called the Rashbam, Rashbam.
Okay. I'll take a look at it, because I'm just trying to obviously become a little more learned and a little more understanding. But I can tell you that in reading the commentary now, I'm not just buying everything hook, line, and sinker. One of the things I liked about the Rational Bible is there are points in time where Dennis does say, like, we just don't know, right? And I appreciate that honesty. Like, there's certain things where he'll say, well, this is my opinion and this is so-and-so's opinion, but at the end of the day, we really don't know, right? And I'm not that level of honesty about not having, this is one of the problems I have, especially with Islam, is they always have an answer for something, even if they make it up and it doesn't make any sense, and even if it's a total lie. It's okay, at least in my opinion, to not know something. It's okay for not every single little comma and period to have some grand explanation. Sometimes, like the Talmud says, if I knew God, I'd be God. Sometimes there's stuff we just don't understand. And I agree with that, right? I don't need to understand every single sentence of
we don't need a commentary, by the way. If the Bible needs some sort of appendage, right, like for it to make sense, and the Bible can't stand on its own. So ethically, the Bible has to make sense on its own. Now, sometimes we don't know what some words mean. There's a lot of words that refer to animals, but that we just don't know how to place. It's rabbit. So in terms of that, then yes. If someone happens to know like biblical Hebrew better, then that's their contribution. But for them to tell you how to properly love God or how to properly honor your parents, who are they? To tell you what everyone else is guessing. Because if the Torah doesn't explain an ethical command, no one has the authority to explain an ethical command to you. A ceremonial command is something else, because God gave the authority to the court for national laws, especially like if there's a death penalty attached to it, there has to be some consensus on how this law was kept, or then it couldn't be kept on a national level.
Right.
But on how to be a decent individual, it has to be understood on the plain level, right? Pashat is king.
Right.
The literal meaning is king, or it's just not there and throw it away.
Right. And that's kind of how I'm approaching it. One more question, and then I got to run to soccer. If you're on later, I'll jump back in. But so I was having an argument with a I hate this phrase, a creator on here who claims to be Orthodox, and this woman and I were arguing about Torah, and I said, at least as my understanding, is that when the Torah was given, it was meant only for the Israelites in Israel, and that this idea of, which makes sense, right? Because at the time there were no Jews outside of Israel. So why would the Torah be for a Jew in Chile, when at the time of the revelation, there was no Jews in Chile? This idea of
but there were no Jews in Israel either. The revelation was in the desert.
Well, on the way to Israel. But that's my understanding, is that the Torah originally was meant for the Israelites in Israel to be followed, and then only after the diaspora did the rabbis come up with this idea.
So this is the opinion of Nachmanides, by the way. Look it up.
Okay.
Nachmanides makes a statement that Torah laws are only applicable in Israel, but it's a very controversial statement that people don't repeat much. Truth be told, that for sure could be said about rabbinic laws, 100%, because the Sanhedrin doesn't have jurisdiction outside of the borders of Israel. So there's an argument to be made that if there's no punishment for a law, does that law really still exist? And being that the court was the one who's to punish you, now there's laws like honoring your parents, that there isn't an earthly punishment, there's some sort of heavenly punishment, so that will follow you around.
Right.
But for the bulk of the laws, you're right. They're only, like God doesn't really make a huge distinction in laws, right? But there's laws that only get punished for in the land of Israel. And nowadays, what we're practicing is Judaism light, or exile Judaism, which actually makes no sense outside an agrarian society in the Middle East. So like, what we're doing is preparing for redemption when these laws will begin to make sense again in the land of Israel.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's kind of where I was. I mean, and again, I don't, for anyone listening who wants to twist words or anything, that's not my saying that Jews outside of the land shouldn't follow the Torah. That my question was about the understanding of the Torah, not how it is, developed over time. But I mean specifically at the time the Torah was revealed to Moses and the journey through the desert. That was, and again, it makes sense logically because all the Jews were together in one area. So this idea that you give the Torah and some Jew in South Africa is supposed to,
Look, it's not a coincidence that Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover, everything we do now has nothing to do with the biblical obligation to do these holidays, because nowhere does it say to do it ceremonially. These holidays don't apply in exile. We do it now like, I don't know, like a little kid preparing or like dressing up like an adult for the time when he will be an adult, i.e. like for the time that we'll be back in the land of Israel. But almost every ceremonial law, with the exception of Shabbat, is kept in a non-Torah manner. It's kept in a way that the rabbis developed that it should be kept in exile. But in the land of Israel, it's kept completely different when there's an actual temple, when there's an actual,
Sanhedrin.
Right, or like your sacrifices. So,
right.
They would have to acknowledge that that's the bulk of ceremonial laws. Right? I mean, we're not keeping them the way the Torah says to keep them because we're not in the land of Israel. So we've changed.
Well, we don't have the temple, which is like, almost 300 of the commandments are directly related to the temple. So no temple, obviously there's no ceremonial commandment that you could, you need one for the other, right? You can't keep a ceremonial commandment for a temple when there's no temple.
Yeah, but ethical laws are applicable outside of the borders of Israel. The reason why is that God uses that as a criteria for redemption. Like he
ethical
says,
laws. Okay, so okay, got it. So ethical laws cover everyone. Ritualistic laws are mostly for Israel. So would you say keeping Shabbat is specific is meant for just Israel, or is that for everybody?
I don't know because it doesn't say. I mean, it says above all my Sabbaths you shall keep, but it does say that when God does exile you, and then no matter where you're at, if you return, i.e. not to the land of Israel, but to Torah observance, then God is going to forgive you and redeem you. Well, so that shows that you're expected to keep Torah commandments in exile. But the ones that you're able to keep, which would make me think that these are ethical ones, not ceremonial ones. Or then how can he forgive you for your sins if you haven't united under one banner of Torah observance in exile?
Right. Okay. No, actually that makes perfect sense, to be honest. Okay, that's it. That's all. I just wanted to get a little clarification because I'm trying to just trying to learn, trying to do better, trying to gain a better understanding. This is all new. Having grown up with an Israeli mom and, going to Israel every summer, we were just, again, this is just my experience and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I loved it. We were, very heavy emphasis on going to Israel and being a part of the land, but very low emphasis on ritual and, ceremony, etc. It just wasn't something that I was raised with. So I'm just trying to get a better understanding so that, I can maybe do a better job of trying to pass some of this stuff on to my kids.
Let me leave you with one idea before you go, because I got attacked for this idea, but it's a bit controversial, but I think it makes sense. Like here in Miami Beach, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know, like if you heard when like those 2 condos collapsed, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, this was in Sunny Isles, a very Jewish area here.
Yeah.
A lot of Jews who died here. And then like these idiot, the Rabbi Mizrahi and Yaron Reuven are all saying that it was a punishment by God because that's an area of like secular Russian Jews, and because they weren't keeping Shabbat, that God is punishing them. Nowhere in the Torah does it say that God is going to chase you into exile and punish you just because you happen to have Jewish DNA. Now, in the curses, let's talk about suffering as part of the exilic process. That means while you're getting kicked out. But if a Jew's hearing me out there and saying, "Oh my gosh, I have to return to God," or God is going to pursue my offspring for 1,000 generations and collapse buildings around them because they don't keep Shabbat, that's antithetical to the Torah. Because I mean,
Well, it also, listen, it's antithetical to my conception and my understanding and my belief of. I mean, that's an angry God.
right.
That's not a God that I want to follow. A vengeful God. You know what I've always loved, at least again from my own perspective, and I, you know, as you know, I defer to you when it comes to Torah. I don't have the same knowledge, but at least as my understanding is that the ethical moral framework of what Judaism provides, especially in the context of that time period where this kind of morality didn't really exist, to judge people on ceremony and not behavior. Again, this goes against Dennis too. I mean, Dennis talks about this a lot, right? That you're judged by who you are, what kind of person you are, you know, and it's something when I ask Muslims and Christians a lot, it really clarifies for me why I'm so happy to be Jewish. You could be the greatest person in the world. You could sacrifice everything for charity. You could read to the blind, feed the homeless, you know what I mean? Go visit kids in the hospital who are cancer patients, etc. If you don't accept their faith belief system, if you don't accept Jesus, if you don't accept Muhammad, you're going to hell. And it's like, that's crazy to me, right? Like my connection and what my understanding of God is that at the end of the day, yes, ritual, all this stuff is important. I'm not diminishing it, but what's most important to him is you live godly, and living, being a good person, being good around you, being good, being a good husband, a good father, a good community member, a
Well, my
good
point
son.
was that don't feel that because you're ethnically Jewish, you have to keep the Torah. You don't have to do anything. You should want to keep the Torah because it works and it makes this world a better place. But I know there's many Jews who are scared into being religious because, oh, your great grandfather stood on Mount Sinai.
Right.
That means you're not bound to keep anything. Okay, you don't have to do anything. You should choose to do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you think that Kabbalistic Judaism, you know, in some way has taught you that that God has a gun to your head.
Right.
And that's
Well,
the
and it
message.
takes away free will, right? Like, doesn't it kind
Right.
of undermine the concept of free will? If
So
you're
it's
living your
coercion.
life and then God makes your building fall down, then
So
that's
a secular Jew is just as expected to keep Torah as a Muslim or a Christian or an atheist is. Meaning, if it's the right thing to do, like you should run towards it. But only because you happen to be genetically Jewish, don't think like God expects more from you than I don't know, like your Hindu neighbor, right? God expects ethics, but this idea that that the obligation travels via blood is antithetical to the message in the Torah.
well, no, and Dennis even talks about that too. And that's actually an issue that he talks about in the Rational Bible that I actually struggle with, and I'm not sure 100% on what side of the aisle I land on that. And I think that's partially because, right, this is something we're brought up with and taught. You know, it's sort of like you know, Judaism 101. Your mom's a Jew, you're a Jew, right? Like that's like one of the first things you learn. And
Well, that's true, by the way.
I know,
It's
I
true.
know it's true,
Yeah.
but even in Rational Bible, Dennis talks about how the what makes us Jews is our accepting the covenant with God and following the Torah. That's what makes us Jewish. I mean, yes, I'm not diminishing the ethnic claim. And I know you made a video, saw one of your videos pop up on my FYP that you said something which I don't agree with, but you know, that's okay. I do think there is an ethnic component to us, but I think that ethnic component has happened over time. Go ahead.
To the people, there's an ethnic component to the Jewish people, not to the Jewish religion.
Oh, right. No. Okay. Then that's a better way to say it. Fair enough. Maybe I misheard because, you know, sometimes when
Every secular atheistical, you know, like person with the Hebraic pedigree is a Jew. However, he's a Jew with either a prefix or a suffix. That means he's either a wicked Jew, an atheist Jew. The reason we're in exile, okay, is because people are misappropriating the term Jew, and that is essentially what stops the redemption. If they would just assimilate completely and stop identifying as the Jewish people, religious Jews would stop dying for the sins of these individuals, right? So they're not just Jew. In Israel, the term Israel in the Bible is only for Israelites who keep the Torah. Everything else, like an Israel mummer, like atheistical or wicked or idolatrous Israelite, well, there's always a prefix to it. But this is what these secular Jews never articulate when they're talking to Gentiles. They're like, yeah, I'm a Jew, like I'm a chosen person. If you don't act ethically or articulate that your values come from the Bible, don't appropriate the title Israel alone, which is set apart for people who try to live like Israel, right? If you're like just ethnically Israel, I mean,
I get what you're saying. Unfortunately, I think probably even from your perspective, you would probably classify me as a secular Jew, though I think.
No, yeah, but you're a traditional Jew. I mean, the average Israeli is not secular. The average Israeli is traditional.
Yeah, but I'm very light on ritual and I'm very light on ceremony, right? I don't keep the Sabbath. I don't keep kashrut.
Yeah, that's not a secular Jew. I'm a secular Jew also. I mean, like, we live in the modern world. I mean atheistical. I mean, that's what I mean, atheistical.
Oh, no, that I'm not. Okay, that I'm not. That fair enough. It's just. And this is mostly a TikTok thing, and for people that only gain their understanding of Jews from TikTok, it really does warp. But like having been to Israel many times, and even growing up in a Jewish, LA, I mean, LA, there's quite a few Jews there. I have never in my life ever come across another Jew and been questioned about, are you Ashkenazi? Are you secular? Are you like that? That's a question that outsiders tend to ask Jews, but I've never met a Jew and been like, are you Reform? Are you Orthodox? Are you conservative? Like, you know what I mean? This need to label oneself. It's a very left-wing thing, right? It's a very modern thing, because when you label yourself, you make yourself special in a way, right? I'm trans, I'm ADHD, here is my label, and because I have a label, you have to respect me more because I'm special, right? And me, I never thought of myself as anything other than a Jew who could do more ceremonially, but hopefully, at least I think I am, living a good life ethically. So this, you're Ashkenaz, you're Mizrahi, you're Sephardic, you're secular, you're Reform, you're conservative, you're.
Jews typically don't ask other Jews if they're Jewish. I mean, because you can tell the average Jew knows who's a Jew. This argument comes up only when they're trying to justify the state of Israel, and it's with non-Jews. This notion that because they happen to exist with a Hebraic pedigree that they deserve special treatment, right? Instead of making a distinction. So I mean, I get it. So with that video I made, it wasn't Jews. It was for Gentiles, for them to know that the average Christian doesn't know. There's Christians that go up to secular Israelis and they give them a hug and say, God bless you, you're the chosen people. And the Israelis will stay quiet, assuming they're atheistical. All right, but that's the issue.
I got you. Okay, thank you. I got to take my daughter to soccer. I appreciate the conversation and the clarity, and I'll send you my email address, and I'll get. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.
Michael, welcome. Up there. Hi. Hello. Michael, going once. Twice. Oh, okay. Right. Oh, okay. Hi. Right. Oh, okay. Oh, you have an echo. Right. Oh, okay. Oh, you have an echo. Here, go out and come back in. Okay, anyways, let's read some of these comments. Judaism has become less and less pagan than other by far. Not true. Opposite, actually. Opposite. Judaism, I would say, is more pagan than Christianity, as it exists today. Now, that's not the Judaism I practice, by the way, and I believe in the oral law. But Kabbalah freaking takes the cake for weirdness. But just most people don't know Kabbalah, but it's problematic. Do you teach a source of the idea that it is forbidden to teach Torah Shabbat Peh to non-Jews? No, I don't. I mean, it doesn't even say that. I mean, it says, let me see. It says, Osek B'Torah. It says, Goy, Osek B'Torah Had Misa. that a Gentile who occupies his time in Torah, they say that, to be osek something means to like study it full time. But the Rambam says that means that you're studying Torah outside of the auspices of Judaism. That means you're trying to make a religion for yourself. This is in like the 9th chapter of Hilchos Malachim. Yeah, so no, I don't teach that. I'm trying to teach you guys Torah, like why, and the bulk of the Torah I teach you is Torah Shabbat Peh. Okay, bring me up, Asher. Oh, are you? All right, we have my friend Elliot up here. Let's see, like if he comes up. Convert to Islam, it is the truth. Okay, we don't use words like truth here. Yes, I believe in the Talmud. Whatever, that means. Only because you believe in something doesn't mean that you believe it's flawless. Judaism is less pagan than any other religion. I prove to you, okay? Then do it. Oh, yeah. Like the show, guys. Follow the host. Like and follow. I'm kind of backtracking on these. He's from Echo Park. Hey, that's where like the Mexicans live. Why do you all care so much about what other people believe? El Pride in Jerusalem. There was no king of Palestine. Man, that sounds like the title of a good movie, King of Palestine. Starring Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, a Jew with a tattoo. Jesus is king. It's called Palestine. This is not a political show. Imagine being covered silver by those tips off Rabbi. All right, let's see. All right, do you have a website? Yeah, TorahJudaism.org. TorahJudaism.org. Judas killed himself. That's no ideal. Do you support Zionism? I'm a secular Zionist. I don't support religious Zionism. How do you become a Jew? Go to your local synagogue and ask, how can I be Jewish? Can I join? Yeah, guys, you guys have to request. There's something wrong with the live. Am I not? Okay, there you go.
Shalom. Wait 1 second. I gotta go outside.
What's up with that your profile picture? You're like catfishing.
Say what? Do it again. What'd you say?
What's up with the profile picture? You're catfishing here.
Oh, no, I just identify with that. No, I'm not catfishing. I just identify with that fictional character a lot. You know who that is?
Is that the Little Mermaid?
No. Oh, I love I also identify with Ariel. I am Ariel, bro. But no, that's Poison Ivy, bro. Poison Ivy from
Are
Batman.
you like the black Ariel, or the white Ariel?
I'm the white Ariel, bro.
Okay, never mind. Because I just saw with the Little Mermaid, and I have no issue. Of course they made her a red bone, right? It's not like whatever. But the prince is like pasty white, but the prince's mother is as dark as Whoopi Goldberg. Which, I don't care. I love all people, right? All ethical people. But like a woman that black can't give birth to a child that white. Even though Lionel Richie's daughter. What's her name? What's her name? From The Fabulous Life.
I don't know Lionel Richie that well. I know Michael Jackson.
Oh, well, he has white kids too.
Yeah, but he also artificially inseminated, so they're not actually his kids.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
But they're Presleys. Right?
Yeah, I think they're Presleys, yeah. But they're not actually his kids, because I don't think he was able to perform the deed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his kids aren't his kids.
Anyways, It's Michael Jackson.
But do you know who Poison Ivy is?
Yeah. She's a comic book character.
Yeah, she's like a goddess of the earth, bro. She has like plant superpowers.
That's like every single woman. She starts getting into oils, essential oils.
Yeah, I'm into essential oils. I think if you put lavender on your pillow, it does help you go to sleep.
Oh man, come on, man! You man up.
You don't like essential? Man up. What do you mean? You don't like essential oils? It's kind of mystical.
Oh, I'm not a mystical dude,
I can obviously tell. You hate the Kabbalah.
No, I don't hate Kabbalah. There's some beautiful.
You definitely don't like it, though.
I don't take it like as obligatory literature. No.
You mean obligatory in terms of like obligation, not obligatory in terms of this is expected.
Both. What's the difference?
Interesting.
In Hebrew, it's we'll say it's a chovah, like it's an obligation. I mean, it's creative writing.
I don't know if it's creative writing. I think it's mysticism.
Yeah, I mean,
It's magic.
mysticism.
It's magic.
Ah, this is.
Ah.
I'm telling you, I could hire George Lucas to give me a better rendition of Kabbalah. I'll blow everyone out of the water.
No way, dude. I think what kind of Kabbalah do you like? Do you like, or no, you don't like any of it, but which one have you looked into? Have you looked into like
No, I've
the
looked into
Lurianic?
all of it. I mean, I've been in the Jewish world for a while. Look, I like reincarnation. I like the idea. I'm not going to say the Torah teaches it, and that's where these guys screw up, right? I mean, they'll utter their notion, and before they utter it, they'll say Torah teaches. That's a problem I have. But I want to live forever. I mean, like Interview with the Vampire, Lestat, right? I want to be like
Yes, dude, Lestat, bro. Dude, that
no
movie is
homo.
so
I mean, because
gay.
I
Yeah.
know those
Why
guys
is
are
that,
like sleeping with guys.
bro? Have you noticed why is that movie so gay? It's like a homoerotic film or something, isn't it?
No, the guys are hitting on guys, right? And you know why? Well, I heard Jordan Peterson say that one of the things that women fantasize the most, besides like, surgeons and werewolves and pirates, it's that
Yeah,
they
dude.
wanted to like, I don't know, like gear it towards men or something, or I don't know, whatever. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's like different archetypes that women are attracted to, right? Like the comedian, like the jester, the vampire, like the werewolf. Yeah, there's different archetypes that women find attractive, right?
Remember, the Torah teacher doesn't even get up there. So
I don't know. Torah teacher's pretty cool to me, bro.
oh well, there you go.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Chris, shalom
Back
alaikum.
synagogue.
Shalom alaikum. Shalom alaikum.
Lechem shalom.
Hey, bro, is there a werewolf in there?
Where?
Crazy sounds, bro. I'm working at a summer camp now. It's like the craziest thing. It's like a Bible summer camp, and it's like these people actually believe in Hashem, and it's like so interesting because I'm not surrounded by a bunch of like, huh?
You mean they're Christian?
Right. So they do happen to be Christian, which is a little off-putting, but they still believe in Hashem.
What do you mean they still? What do you mean Christians believe in Hashem? What's up? I mean, that's what makes them Christian.
But don't they add to it? They say that like Jesus is also God.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, but it's still Hashem. I mean, I guess, right?
Do you think that Allah is Hashem?
No.
Me neither.
Now, I don't think that Christians believe in our same God either, but I believe that Messianics do. I mean, you have to believe in His Torah to believe in Him. We only know about God because of the Torah. I mean, how can you like cut out the Torah and say it's the same God? This is why Muslims don't believe in the same God.
Well, that's Jesus never cut out the Torah though, so that's why Paul is such a.
Yeah,
that's
so
why
Jesus
Paul is so bad.
Was messianic, well, or his followers were messianic. That's what Christian means. Christian means messianic or meshachist. It means the same thing.
Yeah.
Welcome, Eugene.
Hey, we got a
thanks
party.
for having me.
Hey, welcome. Hey,
Yeah.
Eugene, that's like the genius guy from The Walking Dead, with the mullet. Remember Eugene?
Was that the guy with the crossbow?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I never got into The Walking Dead. It's a little spooky. It's a little scary,
It's good. It picks up. It's good. It's a good show.
It's scary. I saw in some of the comic where there's like people that are wearing zombie skin to blend in. That's like so gross and scary to me. That's like horrifying. Wearing skin. Gross. But I like vampires though. I like vampires more than zombies. I think
Vampires, baby.
Yeah, I think they're cool.
Yeah, Rabbi Asher, I actually just came up. I wanted to come up I just had a quick question. I've been thinking about what you recommended, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and commit. So I wanted to know what's the best way to reach out to you, like outside of TikTok.
Well, I mean, I encourage you to go to your local synagogue. I mean, if you're talking about converting.
No.
go to the local synagogue.
Well, no, I wouldn't. You recommended I study in yeshiva, and so it was months ago you recommended. I've literally been doing research on it for months, like just
Yeah, but I'll tell
making
you
sure
off the
that's what I
bat,
wanted to do. Yeah.
like, there's no yeshiva that's going to accept you like if you believe in Yeshua.
Yeah,
Yep.
I threw that out. I threw it out. I threw him out maybe a few months ago. It's just,
Wait, wait a second. What do you mean you threw him out, Dante? You threw him out?
I threw him out. It's just.
I mean, he asked him to leave. I mean, no one got thrown out, right? I mean, you're just like, step outside, JC.
I
Bro.
couldn't. It's just when I was reading, because I told Ash I used to read the Stern Bible, and I would watch more and more of your videos, Rabbi, and it just was like they put so much emphasis on what the Tanakh says. The Tanakh says this about the Messiah. The Tanakh says this, and then I would think about your teachings. Well, it's like,
Here, listen. You don't have to hate Jesus. You can love Jesus, but just not think he's God or the Messiah.
no, it's just the inflation of it. It's just
Yeah.
like what Ruben said the last time we spoke. What's the new way of doing things? Why is that? Like, why
There's many
change the way we
rabbis
do
in our
things?
religion that we admire, and we
Right.
love their teachings. So I don't want people to think that I'm encouraging anybody to hate Jesus. Only because you love a rabbi and you love his teachings doesn't mean that this rabbi has to be God now or has to be, like some human sacrifice. So
No, no, no. I don't want you to. I don't want you
Well,
to. I don't
that's
want
the
you to
big
get me
pro.
wrong.
If
I
you
don't
look
want you
at
to
it,
get me wrong.
well, if you
I don't
guys
want him to
look
get
at
me
it,
wrong.
that's the big problem. Okay, this is the main reason why Jews to this day reject Jesus as Mashiach, is because what's going on with the human sacrifice thing, bro? Why did he die? And why were they under the impression that it was a human sacrifice when we
Well, I don't
all
want to.
know that human sacrifice is not kosher? So what's going
Well, I
on with
don't want to
this?
get my. Well, I don't want to get my words misconstrued. What I'm really saying is just, it's the writers. I don't have any issue with Jesus himself. It's just like, I just feel like things he was hyped up, I guess, so to say. It's just, if in your opinion, Torah is the only,
right,
the instructions in the Torah is the only word of God.
correct.
So if a writer is so, oh, in the Tanakh it says this, and the Tanakh that's not even from God, so why would I put so much stock in what it says about it? Why isn't the instructions what should be important about Torah? Not, oh, the Tanakh is this about. Well, it doesn't matter if that's not even really from God. It's not I'm
But
not
the
looking at it
Tanakh,
as
so
authoritative.
I'll tell you this, Dante. I'm gonna be straight up with you. So I know that the rabbi here doesn't accept like the Tehillim or like Jeremiah as the word of God. He accepts the Torah as the word of God. But I will tell you, the Tanakh is the word of God, bro. The prophets' writings are very. And Jeremiah was literally communicating with God, Hashem, the God
I
of
don't.
Israel.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but
It literally is the word
just
of
on
God.
the
I know the
same
prophet
level,
doesn't
it's
agree.
authoritative to me, as authoritative as Torah, as Rabbi Asher says about writers in the Talmud.
Lord
We
have
aren't
mercy,
you aren't
brother.
authorized to, what's the word I'm looking for, to have a final say so on anything, certain things that aren't in Torah. So it's like,
But here's the problem with Talmud is that the Rabbonim think that they have the final say so, when truly it's
What the heck is this? You're like
Rabbonim,
a white guy speaking Spanish.
Rabbonim.
Restaurante.
It's a Rabbonim, but
I'm right here, I mean,
the
I'm ready to
Rabbonim,
talk, but go ahead. Just don't
the
forget I'm in the room.
that's
the
hilarious. This is
Rabbonim
hilarious.
think that they have the final say so, when really it's Mashiach who has the final say so.
But this is the thing. Where are we commanded?
Preach.
Where are
That's what
we
you don't want to preach, good.
commanded?
And the 11th commandment, thou shalt not shout, does not exist.
Wait, what
Where's
is
the
that? Say it again.
commandment about believing in Mashiach? Where's that commandment
Wait,
anywhere
where's
in
the 11th?
Torah?
What was the 11th commandment? Can you say it again?
He was joking.
Thou shalt
I
not
know, but I
shout,
want to hear.
thou shalt not
Uh,
shout.
yeah, thou shalt
That
not shout
exists.
at Mashiach. Don't yell at Mashiach. That's the
Oh
11th
wow.
commandment.
Oh
No, that's from
wow.
the movie. There's this great movie with I think Robert Redford, The Apostle. Is that Robert Redford? That's yeah, The
I have
Apostle.
no
Remember?
I have no idea
Yeah,
who
it's,
that is.
it's a good movie. It's a Christian. It's not. Well, it's about a Christian preacher in Louisiana that he kills somebody by mistake, and then he has to run away. And then he opens up a church, and then the cops get him at the end. It's an amazing movie.
What's it called?
The Apostle.
The Apostle. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yo, that's the one thing I would never. If I ever had blood on my hands, that would ruin everything.
Oh,
Remember David? He had blood on his hands and he wasn't allowed to build the temple.
I bathe in blood.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Lord have mercy. Lord
I'm an
have mercy.
infantryman. I was in the 82nd Airborne. I eat
No,
an
you were
air.
serving. That's different. You were serving your country and protecting your people.
Oh, so killing and murdering is different things.
If you're protecting your people and protecting yourself and protecting your country, it's different, right? You're serving in the military. You're literally serving in the military, so it's not murder.
Oh, all right. All right. So unaliving bad people is allowed.
There we go.
All right, so
There we go.
Antifa.
There we go. Yeah, Antifa's the bad guys, bro. That's crazy. That's chaos. That's the chaos god right there. You got to be careful with that stuff. That is just straight up anger and just rage and no sense, no logic, just anger and Meanness. It's just mean. Breaking into people's stores, looting, destroying, wearing all black, trying to intimidate people. That's all toxic behavior. That's goyim behavior, bro. That's goyim behavior, bro. That's toxic behavior.
Like the Rabbanim say.
Rabbonim. I don't want to say Rabbonim because you guys don't deserve the hard R. The Rabbonim.
Ooh, hard R.
You guys deserve that Rabbonim.
Or
The Rabbonim is like a different thing. Because the Resh is a special letter. The Resh. You know the Resh.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issue pronouncing Hebrew like an Ashkenazi guy, you know, but it's like I'm what's called a coconut. Like I'm brown
What's
on
a
the
coconut?
outside. I'm brown on the outside and white on the inside.
You're not even brown though.
No, it's just light. You know, I'm Colombian, bro.
That's still, isn't that basically white?
I guess, whatever.
that's very it's no, they wouldn't. I don't think anyone.
Oh, he paused. Are you there?
I think TikTok
Oh yeah,
muted the wrong person.
my battery went to 20%. It went to 20%, and then it muted me.
That's it.
But yeah, it's still weird to say, but out loud. But I just.
Hey man, I would say just even though the rabbi's here, bro, don't toss Jesus out the window, bro. That man was tortured to death, bro. That man was tortured to death. Don't toss him out the window, bro. Come on,
No,
man.
like I consider him a righteous individual. I mean,
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, I do as well.
he was fighting
It's
like the
just-
same nonsense we're fighting with today, like the hypocrisy in the Jewish world. I don't believe that he thought he was a Messiah. I don't believe a lot of the things that was attributed to him, but he was clearly, I mean, he was
Yeah, well-
empowered, okay? And I
Yeah.
respect that a lot.
Yeah, maybe I should have clarified. That's what I meant to say. I don't. The whole notion of saved by grace and all that. I more meant that. Like I don't have an issue with.
Well, that's
who
the
he
thing
was
is
as
that's
a
all
person.
Pauline. You're right. It's
Yeah, I
good
don't
that
have
you
an issue.
recognize
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't
It's
have an issue
good.
with who he was as a person. It's just and with that, Paul is just that's where the issue
Nuts.
comes in.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the thing is Paul writes that all you have to do to attain salvation is say that Jesus is Messiah and believe in your heart that he rose from the dead, when that has nothing to do with anything. That's not how you gain salvation. I don't know where he just made that up. I don't know what Paul was thinking. I think Paul was just a Jew angry at Judaism, and that's why he wrote all this crazy stuff against circumcision, against kashrut. I think he was just really mad at Judaism, and so he
Well,
just
that's why when you read New Testament, he would even get into arguments with.
he was an
other people.
argumentative guy. He just couldn't hold his tongue. He was so argumentative. He was an unlikable person, and Jews didn't get along with him. The Christians and Peter didn't get along with him.
You're
So Paul was
100%,
just
John.
Yeah, but Christians won't tell you. They don't want to admit to that because they don't want to. I guess Paul is not allowed to be human. He's not allowed to make.
He's like the Asher
mistakes.
Meza of the Christian world.
He even discouraged.
I know it's crazy.
Yeah,
So basically,
and that's
like,
a commandment
Paul
from
was-
Moses, you know?
I know,
Right,
So-
I
and
know.
that, and
It's
that was
crazy,
the issue
bro.
I had for a long time. Like my family.
Well, it's crazy because the Christians all consider Paul to be the greatest apostle. Essentially,
You know what's crazy?
they consider him to
He
be
never met Jesus as well. He only envisioned it.
exactly. That's what doesn't make any sense. That's
So,
what makes zero
Let
sense.
me tell you the story about Paul. So what happened was, this is what I heard. I don't know if it's true. I don't know. You know, this is what I heard from. I seen a video about it. So supposedly he was a Jewish rabbi. Okay, and what happened
Right.
is the Christians started mixing up with the Jews. Okay, so they were messing up the commandments. They weren't following the commandments, and they weren't really Jewish. The disciples or whatever. Okay, so what happened is they started mixing up
Wait,
each other.
the
So-
original disciples weren't Jewish. The original Jesus' disciples. Or
Jesus'
later
disciples were Jewish.
Yeah, that's what I'm
followers.
asking him to clarify.
The followers, the Gentiles. Okay, they were mixing up with Judaism. And what happened is they were messing up the commandments. They weren't following the commandments. So what Paul did is supposedly he sacrificed to himself and he wrote the book. And he did that to separate the Christians from the Jews to make another sect. And that's what I heard. And it kind of, I don't
That's
know.
kind of sketchy because it kind of makes sense a little bit. The idea that he didn't want the Jews and the Christians meshing together, which is the actual
Exactly.
point of all of this. If you guys want to know the big secret,
Well, no, Paul writes that. He says, "To the Jew I become a Jew, to the Gentile
Right,
I become
that's
a Jew."
sociopathic. He's a
He even
chameleon.
understood that he couldn't go around certain groups saying certain things because it would be issued. He understood.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? That's why the Jews don't fast on the 9th of Tavis. Because that's when Paul died.
No, well, that's not factual. They're saying that.
That's what I heard from a rabbi.
Yeah, no, but Rabbi, that's what he's talking about. Because
Okay.
I looked it up, and it's a theory because they're saying that they forgot what that fast was about, So some people theorize it's that. And the story about Paul being like an undercover,
Secret agent.
story,
Yep.
He was a
yeah.
secret agent, bro. He was a
Wait, hold on,
secret
hold on, hold
agent.
on.
He was. Let's be
So
real.
it
So
appears in a book
The
called, I think it's Toldot Yeshu. I mean, and it's also taught by the Yavits, by Rav Yaakov Emden. I mean, it's a Jewish story.
yeah, I've seen that rabbi. He's on YouTube. He
Yep,
literally said
well, not
Paul's
that guy.
literally like the devil.
This guy's
He's like
dead.
Satan.
So it's that he was a kosher Jew, that Paul was a kosher Jew, and the rabbis told him to create this religion to separate Jesus from
Exactly.
Judaism. I don't
Yes.
believe that, but this is what the
It makes
story
sense.
is.
It kind of makes sense. It kind of makes
It
sense.
kind of does, because the stuff he taught was so.
And that's why the Jacob Rothschild, his museum, he's hiding the gospel in there. Supposedly.
Yeah, because Paul could have just came out and wrote like what David wrote. The Torah is perfect. It wouldn't have been so much confusion. He left
And
so much. He just
that's why
left
the Christians should be
confusion.
mad at Paul, bro.
If
Like I
Paul
don't
would have
know.
just
That's what
wrote
I'm
the
saying,
Torah
bro.
is perfect,
But not only that, I think that
Torah,
the
it would have been easy.
John, what are you?
what am I? I'm a human being like you, brother.
Yeah, but what are you? Christian, Muslim?
Oh, I'm definitely not Muslim. Definitely not Muslim. I'm more like a messianic type Jew, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
You could be AI.
I might be AI, bro. I might be. What if I am AI?
That's weird. You're like a gay AI.
Are you ethnically Jewish though? Are you ethnically Jewish or just like by religion?
He said gay AI.
No, but
That's
gay AI,
funny.
GAI. I mean, for short.
That's funny that you said.
Gay AI.
That's funny that you said you're Christianic. That's what I wanted to be when I was first leaving Christianity. Well,
Wait,
Yeah,
modern Christianity.
wait. Don't you guys believe that you guys are supposed to have like a payos where you don't cut your hair?
That's more
Correct?
Orthodox
No.
Judaism. That's
Wait,
more
hold on.
Orthodox.
I mean, I'm Orthodox, by the way.
It's in Leviticus though.
Hold on,
Let
guys.
Rabbi answer. Let Rabbi
Right, okay.
answer.
So the average Orthodox Jew, 99.9% of Orthodox Jews don't have long piyot. The reason why is because the oral law teaches that as long as you see that we don't shave with the razor here.
Yeah.
Or even our beard, like we'll use an electric razor. So we go
It
by.
supposedly gives you more wisdom about God, correct?
No, but the Torah tells us that we're not allowed to destroy the corners of our beards, but the oral law translates that to mean either shave with an actual razor or pluck out. So if you would trim your hair with clippers, it's allowed. Throughout Jewish history, before they had clippers, they had hair remover. I mean, there's many rabbis who don't have a beard, who don't have peyot, right? And no one teaches that they're violating anything. The Hasidic Jews who grew it long, do it to embellish it, but it's not a
Yes. You're right. So according to he's right. So according to the oral law, you have to have like a finger, like just a finger width or something like that, like a tiny bit.
Then I'm breaking it. No. But as long as you feel stubble.
So what if you break that law as a Jewish person?
What do you mean? You're breaking a Torah law.
So there's consequences, obviously.
No. I mean, there are no earthly consequences.
Obviously, in the
Torah
afterlife.
time, there would be. In Torah times, the Sanhedrin took care of punishment.
Yeah, I'm talking more about the afterlife, though.
Oh, the Torah doesn't talk about punishments in the afterlife.
That was Jesus who talked about punishments in the afterlife. That was him. He brought up all that stuff. That's the big thing.
Rabbinic Judaism does talk about it, but the Torah doesn't talk about punishments in the afterlife.
Do you read the Old Testament or do you read the Tanakh?
What's the difference?
Same thing.
It's the same thing. So why do they put the Old Testament next to the New Testament? That's what I never understood.
But Christians,
The Romans did it.
No, I don't think the Romans did it. I think that in order to understand what Jesus is supposedly, like what he is, or at least what he claimed to be, the Son of Man, you have to understand Jewish scripture and understand what a Mashiach is to begin with. You have to understand what the prophesied Mashiach is.
It was the Holy Roman Empire, or the Catholic Church, that first combined. Tanakh was invented by the Catholic Church, meaning not the books in Tanakh, but the idea of combining everything together in one book. Jews never did that. I mean, Jews had Torah scrolls, i.e. the 5 books, and then everything else.
Right, exactly.
But why don't they make a book for the Old Testament by itself and then
that's what I was.
That's a Tanakh. You can go buy a Tanakh online, and it's the Old Testament alone.
It's in Hebrew, correct?
Well, both.
You can get it in English.
Puerto Rican.
But it's the same thing as the Old Testament, so I could just pick up the Bible.
Well, if you don't believe
depends
in
on the
Jesus, you
translation.
don't want the New Testament.
So like
Yeah, it
basically, if you
depends on
look
the
at
translation.
so
Yeah.
Because I was
Judaism,
speaking with
Jewish.
the Orthodox Jew like yesterday. He's telling me he doesn't read the Old Testament. He doesn't believe in that.
Well, that's
I don't know what
crazy.
you're talking about. That's
Well, no. Well, remember the
then.
point. Well, Asher, remember the point. Hebrew Hammer made. I don't remember when it was. He said, I don't know if it was accurate, but he was saying how the translation they went in and they changed like the tense of the words.
No,
Well,
no.
no, so basically all the Christians did was they added capital letters and they did stuff like that to add like basically there's no capital letters in Hebrew and they would add capital letters and stuff like that. So it's basically just this. The Christians basically go off the Septuagint and the Jews basically go off the Masoretic text.
No,
And
that's
there's a
not
couple
true.
No,
a little
Hold
bit,
on.
I don't
a
think
little
that's
bit true.
accurate. I don't think that's
We're
accurate.
talking about
That's
English
pretty much
translation.
true.
Okay,
English
Rabbi,
translation. Hold on. So Jews add
Rabbi,
the word Hashem
I,
in there, but when it's not even there, So I
Right.
mean, probably the word Lord is closer to the four-letter name of God than Hashem.
isn't it Elohim?
No,
No.
but the four-letter name of God is,
That's the plural.
like the Yud,
Hmm.
Hey, Vav, Hey, or Yud, Ke, Vav, He, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So I have a
Hey,
question.
do you want to know how to say that? Do you want to know a secret on how to actually say that? I'll tell you a secret. This is a secret of Torah that even you don't know, Rabbi. Do you want to know it?
It doesn't.
You're making Rabbi cringe. You're making him cringe.
No,
Would
it's
you like
not.
to know it?
I mean, it doesn't. It's not going to change anything, and it'll probably. I mean, like make me lose some followership. Like it. In
It
Judaism,
might
we
make you lose
typically
some
don't
brain
try to
cells.
pronounce it because
All right, so look, here it is. I'll tell you how to pronounce it. This is how you pronounce it. Watch. You go like this. Wait, the door is loud, so I'm not going to say it. Wait, I need silence for it.
Come on, man.
Okay,
You're
ready?
gonna get my show blocked, aren't you?
This is it. It's this. It's this. That's it, bro. All it is the breath of life. I swear on my life, that's all it is. It's the
Sound
breath
like a
of life.
creep, You're like a pervert.
No, it's the breath of life. It's the breath of life.
Bro, I have a
Yeah, but do
serious
you have your
question.
shirt
So,
off when you did it?
No,
That
it's
was
not a sexual thing.
hilarious.
Do you not
That
remember
was
Adam? Wait,
hilarious.
do you not remember Ish Isha, Adam? And do you not remember? He breathed life into him. So it's just the breath of life. But that's not even the
Rubbing your
name I
belly
like.
when you were doing it.
I wasn't doing what?
Rubbing your belly.
Oh,
No, should I have been
man.
rubbing my belly?
Oh, by the way, talk about rubbing your belly. I saw that movie last night, The Machine.
Was it good?
Oh yeah,
Was
is
it
it
good?
good?
Very good movie. Yeah.
Rabbi,
The
did you
person or whatever.
do the AMC the $20 per month? I
Yes,
told
I
you
did.
about?
Yeah. Because I couldn't
Yeah.
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 I came back now from watching The Boogeyman.
I got you, Rabbi. I got you.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, wait,
that's
did
my
they do a
that's
new
my gift.
Boogeyman movie?
Yeah, it's a Stephen King.
Stephen King? Was it
Yeah,
scary?
it looked really
Yeah, it
good.
was pretty scary. Yeah, that's it.
Yo,
These
what's like the
movies are
scariest
always-
movie you've seen, Rabbi? The scariest movie you've ever seen?
I mean, it really depends when I saw it. I mean, to tell you how scared I was, but I grew up watching like Nightmare on Elm Street, and that was pretty scary. Because it takes you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in your dreams.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty scary.
Right.
Oh no, you know what? The Rapture movies when I was little, because I went to Christian school for like probably a year and a half, and they forced us to watch like the ones from the '70s, like "You've Been Left Behind." And then
Yeah, the Left
bees
Behind
flying and the
stuff.
thing,
Yeah.
you're like, nobody wants to be
Yeah.
left behind. With a bunch of white
Literally.
people with funny haircuts. Yeah.
You know, it's a good one. They have a movie, It Follows. Have you ever seen that one, Rabbi?
It follows?
Yeah, It Follows.
No.
It's that one. I'm not gonna say anything about it. I would just tell you to look it up. Watch the trailer. It's crazy. It's a crazy movie. It's older one. I like older movies. The newer movies that come out today aren't as quality as like 10 years ago, 10 to 12 years ago.
I like
Yeah,
John
like
Wick.
yeah, they're just more. They're like corporate and mainstream now. It's like they don't have the same impact. Like, have you ever seen Donnie Darko?
No, I haven't.
Bro, that is a good movie right there. And it was made in like 2000, I think, but 2001. That's a good movie. It's like a messianic figure, but he's almost like a reverse, like anti-messiah figure. It's very interesting stuff. And also,
Donnie
it's a time
Darko.
travel movie.
All right, I'll check
Huh?
it out. Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko.
Oh, Darko. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Have you ever seen the Noah movie, Rabbi Asher?
Which one?
The Noah movie.
Yeah,
They
well, I
got
did like
so
it.
many things wrong. Got everything wrong in that
Yeah.
movie. It was ridiculous.
No, but it wasn't so good. I just saw talking about Russell Crowe, I saw The Pope's Exorcist, and that was pretty good.
Ooh, yeah, that was good. That was good.
Isn't that like a Christian horror movie?
Blasphemy. I'm like,
Yeah, isn't that
"Whoa."
like a Christian horror movie kind of?
You know, Like I have a video about demons on like, if demons are supposed to have existed from the beginning of time, like why is it that they can't speak English or Hebrew properly and they're always like, ah. I mean, you figure, the guy would be like, like
I
Luther
mean, we believe they have
Right,
Vandross
no
like yeah,
intellect.
like
with a
God
classy.
British
didn't gift them
accent.
with a brain.
Yeah,
God
but
didn't gift them with a brain. They have no intellect. They're
are you talking
powerful
about
because they're
demons?
created from fire.
Wait,
Yes.
so I have
Demons?
a question. I have a
Demons?
question, Rabbi. So
Yeah.
basically, I've noticed that there are shadaim, there's demons in Judaism, but here's the thing: is in Christianity,
Shayateen.
ma, do what?
In Arabic, it's called shayateen, but it's crazy because it kind of sounds alike. But okay.
Oh yeah, shayateen. That's like devils. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we say shayateen.
And do
So
you guys call
Say
angels
them as
jinn,
plural to
correct?
begin with. But yeah, go ahead.
So my question is in the Christian ideas, a demon is like a fallen angel because Lucifer made war with God in heaven and 1/3 of the angels were cast down and la 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 la, right? But so tell me what is a Shadaim? Like what is it in Judaism? What's a demon?
All right. So in Hebrew, Shadim in Hebrew just means foreign gods. And then later on, it became translated, specifically in the Talmud, would depict these beings that have like even chicken feet that you could see them if you could take the placenta of a black cat and burn it and put it in your eyes. And that's all it says. That's not necessarily, there's different levels of this. There's something called Ruach Ra. And then later on in
The spirit of evil? The spirit of evil?
spirits, but some people say that it's just infections because it attaches itself to your fingers when you wake up in the morning. This is why people do what's called negovasser. They wash up to their knuckles. And also, like Mayim Achronim is partially for Ruach Ra. It's also for like sodomite salt. In Lurianic Kabbalah, there's something known as a dibuk.
Yeah, the Dibuk. Yeah, I've heard about
Right,
those.
that doesn't
Yeah.
appear in the Talmud, but there's also Samael, who's the king of the
Yeah,
demons.
Samael. I've heard about this Samael, bro. Tell me about Samael, dude.
I'm not big into any of this stuff, but it's there.
But what is a Samael? Because that's not the shaitan, is it? Or is it?
No, well, you mean Hasatan?
Yeah, Hasatan.
Well, nobody knows what the Satan is. However, there are some midrashim that depict him identical to how he appears in the Christian Bible, i.e., someone who fights against God. So Chazal say that the Yetzer Hara, the angel of the dead, like the Malach HaMavet, and the Satan are the same person, but nobody knows.
Well, right, isn't there aren't there stories about King Solomon using demons to build a temple or something
That's
like
in
that?
later tradition. That's in much later tradition.
Well, he uses a worm, but supposedly there's like a shade that takes King Solomon and puts him away in some like
Yeah,
farm-
Asmodeus,
like-
Asmodee.
right,
So
right.
yeah, we believe the same thing. We believe that he did have not shayateen. He had good jinn, which are demons, supposedly in your
More like
terms,
genies.
whatever.
They're not exactly demons, right? Because they're
But
mischievous.
it was
They're
by
not
the will
evil.
of God. So he basically asked God to give him know that and give him an attribute where jinns, were demons, were under his control and under his command. And he basically told him to build the temple.
Well, I don't like the idea that the Temple of Solomon, the beautiful and wonderful Temple of Solomon, was built by damn demons, all right? That's outrageous. It was built by man, of course. It was built by Jews because it was the Temple of God.
there is a
Look,
story
let me
on
tell you,
that.
we
There
say
is a source
jinn.
for that.
We believe that there's good jinn and there's bad jinn. The bad jinns, we call them shayateen, the people, the followers of Satan. The good jinn, we call them muslimin.
Yeah, jinn is just their word for angel. That's just their
No,
word.
it's not.
No, jinn is a genie. Jinn is a genie.
Basically, it's a different type of creation that God created before Adam and Eve, and they're basically created from fire, from the smoke of the fire, and we can't see them. They're in a different dimension, but
The fire
they still
of
live in this earth.
Hashem. They're
I'm
made from
gonna
the
be
fire
honest with
of-
you guys. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Jinn aren't really real. Angels are real. Demons are real. But jinn is it's like added lore, bro. So there's Spider-Man 1, a great movie. That's Judaism. Spider-Man 2, Christianity. Arguably even better, another great movie. And then there's Spider-Man 3, Islam. They tried to stuff too many things in, and it just didn't work out, and it's not that good of a movie. That's Islam, bro. I don't like
How is Christianity better?
Yeah, how about
because
like
I
the
mean,
Dominican Spider-Man or like the Hindu Spider-Man? You ever seen the Hindu Spider-Man?
is there a Hindu Spider-Man?
The one like the like the
I mean, it
tights
just
aren't tights,
would
everything's all
obviously like
saggy.
Christianity better because it's a deception. It makes no sense.
I don't think it's a deception. I think that they're literally trying to emulate Jesus and trying to be. No, actually,
You
I
got
don't think.
you guys know it's a joke. Deep
No,
down
it's
inside,
not their
Whoa.
All right,
fault.
guys.
It's not. It's Paul's fault. It's not
Y'all
their
just
fault.
mad because I said that I don't accept Islam because it's
No, it's
added
okay.
lore.
All right.
That's their beliefs.
Let's talk about Judaism. We have Elliot in the house, and Elliot is someone who knows about Judaism. And like I wanted to have him on my life for a little while, especially after I heard him articulate Judaism so well a few days ago. So welcome, Elliot.
Hey,
Hello,
Elliot.
hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I can't top the British accent. You know, it's so like there's so much pump in there that even though I'm not saying,
Could you wear the
Oh yeah, it's magnificent.
yeah,
His
yeah,
accent is
but go ahead.
magnificent. It's magnificent accent. Magnificent.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like anytime somebody comments on my British accent, I automatically become more posh just to kind of show it off. So, yeah, thank you guys.
We're not all
Very,
British
very
accents, but this one's nice. If you were like from Manchester or Leeds or something, then
Oh yeah, I'm obsessed.
London.
Yeah,
right, or a Pikey.
beautiful. Yeah. I went to college with two guys from London, and they played on the soccer team. And I would try to match their accent, and I would have them grade me, and it was always terrible. They'd be like, "Just stop."
Yo,
Wow.
whenever I try a British accent, it always turns into bloody Australian accent, my favorite accent. But you know what's really crazy is I can say this one thing in the British accent. I can say, you think you're fucking better? You think you're fucking better than me? You think you're fucking better than me? I can say that.
I think your Australian accent was better.
Yeah, no, that's my ghetto British accent. You know how like there's posh British and then there's like street British where it's like, what, you think you're fucking better? You think you're better than me?
I mean, Ollie
Yeah,
G.
I mean, yeah.
Ollie G.
Yeah,
Love
more like
Ali
the
G.
Ali G accent. Yeah.
Absolute love Ali G.
Bro,
What a
can we
legend.
just take a moment? Can we take a moment to recognize the comedy, the high level that Sacha Baron Cohen is on in terms of comedy? He is on a high level of comedy. I would say so.
I don't know. I think he used to be. I think
He used to be. And Bruno was pretty
at
funny.
the expense of other people. And like, I don't know. And when he walks into a church and then he's like, I want Jesus to save my heart, and everyone's like believing it, it's just I don't know. It's kind of cringy.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Bruno?
Yeah.
I didn't like Bruno.
Bro, it's so gay. It's crazy.
It's gay.
Oh my gosh.
He's playing a gay guy.
Right. Do you think I should move to Israel?
You know,
I want to be around people. I want to be around all Torah observant people.
You better watch out, bro, because these aren't Torah observant people. These are Talmud observant people.
Well. All right, hold on.
Well, Talmud is technically
to a certain extent,
extension.
yes.
Yeah, the Gemara is.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. The oral tradition is Mashiach. The oral tradition does not come from Rabbonim. It comes from Mashiach. That's where the true oral tradition comes from.
All right. Well, so we're losing followers because we're not talking about Torah topics. So let me talk with Mr. Elliot and pick his brain a little bit.
Okay, cool.
And where his background is from. Are you like from Golders Green or what?
No, I'm actually from Hendon, right next to Golders Green.
Oh, interesting. So I know Golders Green, Stamford Hill. I went to the kosher. What's the kosher corner? No, kosher delight. Right, kosher delight.
What? Kosher Delight.
Yeah, like what's the name of the
was in Manhattan.
Next to the Michelson's, like the Michelson's butcher, or whatever. Okay, anyway.
Wait, how old are you?
I am 45.
Okay,
that's a good number. That's a good number. Hey, you know what 4-5 means?
Yeah, Donald Trump. That's
You're right, exactly.
I would have gave you 30. I
Yeah,
would have gave you 30.
So, how do you identify? Like, are you like Litvish, a Hussid? I mean, I don't see it's tribal, but maybe it's in the horse and buggy.
No, not at all. How do I identify? I mean, I identify as I would say I'm half Orthodox. I guess always trying to do something else, and when I finally am able to do it, I try and take something else on. So I keep some things, I don't keep other things, but I like to learn and study a lot of Torah. It's just interesting to me.
You're like about Shiva, you're a convert, you're like
no, I grew up religious. My parents became more religious as we were growing up. Like my dad davens in a shtibel. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
You know
So
Rabbi Glass, from Aish?
I know of him.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I'm a former Aish Bacher. So, yeah.
wow.
I
Well,
mean,
look at
he's
that.
from the old city.
In the old city, it's a beautiful building.
Yeah. Well, when I was there, they were building like the new building, which is right next to it. That now it's like the H Center or whatever. But I was at it's funny. The building I was in was the second building. The first building is the Discovery Building, which is all the way. I mean, it's not in front of the hotel. But
Right.
yeah, it's got the best food, like of all the Baal Tshuva yeshivas there.
Yeah, probably. I was in Osmeach.
Oh, well, I learned in Ohr Somayach also. In Israel, I mean, people like hop in like to many different yeshivas, but it's where your dorm that people say the yeshiva that you belong to. So I dormed in Aish. Like in that sense, I learned like in the Mir. I've in every like we yeshiva.
I get it. I get it.
So what were we on?
I was in Derek. Yeah, I was there for a year, and then I stayed on for an extra year and a half, and I was working and traveling and I guess finding myself.
Oh, interesting. All right. Yeah. All right. So, Rabbi Lubo, Rabbi Geffen, Rabbi Ullman. I was there when like Burl Wine used to give shiurim there, but this is way back. I'm talking about 2004.
Yeah, I was at 2006, I think.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah, quite close. Yeah, that's a pretty. There you go, small world.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they changed it completely, by the way. Because I was just there for Sukkot, and I went into the New Ohr Somayach. They redid everything. The dorms are beautiful. I mean, like back in 2004, it was horrible.
Oh,
like,
the shithole.
Yeah, like, they redid the base medrash. I mean, somebody donated a lot of money to that building.
Well, it wasn't me. Yeah. What about you? What's your religious deal?
So I'm like Mo, modern Orthodox, which I define as doing what's required and considering what's optional.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. That's pretty standard.
Yeah. But I identify as a rationalist, right? That's my pronoun. As much as a religious person could be rational. So my reason comes from a systematic theology that I've adopted from in Israel. Like I learned by Temanim on the side. Like people always learn, because you go to different shiurim and stuff like that. So I learned mainly by Baladim, and friends. One of my best friends like spent 10 years in the Yemenite community in Israel, and I got introduced to the Rambam and like Judaism without Kabbalah, and. Yeah, so
called Judaism.
Yeah, so like people who don't embellish Kabbalah or hold it as like Torah Sheba'al Peh or was given in Har Sinai are big on the Rambam because the Rambam's codification, i.e. Mishnah Torah, like doesn't include all these later Kabbalistic notions like the Sefirot, Partzufim,
right.
Like Gilgulim, like and on and on. So I consider myself a halachic purist.
Halachic purist.
Yes, I mean, like most rationalists, we believe that for something to actually be halakha, like it has to come from the Beis Din Hagadol. I mean, it just can't be like a minhag or like appear in the Zohar and Sefer Behir or something. It has to come from the Sanhedrin. It has to come from people who had authentic smicha. And anything outside of that is just optional.
Do you think rabbis these days have authentic smicha?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What the smicha we have nowadays was invented in Sfat in 1535 by the Ma'aribe Rav. And one of the first people to receive smicha was Rav Yosef Karo. Right. But it was, smicha under the auspices of the Rambam. Meaning, nowhere by Chazal does it say how to reestablish smicha, because like smicha disappeared in around the 4th century, like in and around the time that the Sanhedrin was disbanded. And like smicha couldn't have been given outside of Eretz Yisrael. So then the Rambam says that it seems to me that the way you could recreate smicha is if you would get all the chachamim of Yerushalayim to agree to give one person smicha, and then that person could give smicha to more people, and then like you could recreate a Sanhedrin. But the Rambam said it seems to me there's no halacha for this. So then this Rabbi Yaakov Bey Rav in Sfat tried to get some consensus to recreate this type of smicha, The reason why was because of there was this this was they were trying to start giving lashes again, because lashes is only one way. It's one rabbinic way to remove kares,
Right.
because of so many Jews who converted to Christianity in Spain, that they felt that they weren't Jewish anymore, and the only way to remove that label from them, that stain, was by receiving, malchus by a beis din that actually had smicha. So they recreated the smicha just for that, and that's the smicha that we have nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like everyone I know is a rabbi or becoming a rabbi somehow. I know so many bloody rabbis, it's insane.
It means nothing nowadays. I mean, I have
Yeah.
smicha, but anyone could have smicha. I mean, I took this course, but I didn't have smicha with these people. But just for fun, I took the course to see how hard it could be with this organization in Israel called Perkei Shoshanim, that they give you smicha in Isra v'Heter. They'll give you smicha in Shabbos, and smicha in Nida. So the smicha of Isra v'Heter takes a year and a half. I mean, assuming you know how to read Hebrew, and you have some sort of haskama, like a rabbi who vouches for you, it takes a year and a half, and the final test is a project. Because smicha that we have today was first given in Sfat, they're trying to redo this. And like the U.S. military accepts it, whatever. Rabbis in America don't like that type of smicha so much, but it's smicha signed by the former Av Beis Din of Eidach HaHaredis, which is Rav Nehemiah Goldberg, which is the guy who gives everybody smicha in Israel. So smicha doesn't mean anything. I mean, I know a lot of friends who got smicha from him, and they were allowed to take the test home and do it with their havrusa. So it doesn't. Smicha means nothing, especially in Israel, because no one gets smicha in Israel, because the average guy walking down the street knows more than the average pulpit rabbi. People get smicha when they're planning to come to America to get a job. So I got smicha in Israel. I worked for Jeff Sedel. I don't know, you know what Jeff Sedel is?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I worked in Hebrew U as a kiruv worker for him. And one prerequisite, I learned the Naish and I knew my stuff. And I said, fine, I'll work for you if you give me smicha. So he wrote me out smicha. And then in America, I got smicha from the yeshiva called Nachla Amuna, which is run by Rabbi Kolakowski. And then someone else gave me smicha, but it doesn't matter. It's just, I use it because I've seen some dummies use the title. And because of that title, act like they deserve respect. Titles mean nothing. I've met rabbis who don't know anything, but for some reason when people can't debate me, they'll try to defame me and say I'm a fake rabbi just because they don't know how to respond to whatever I happen to be, spouting. But yeah.
Well, you got smicha 3 times. You're like a rabbinical trinity. It's awesome.
Right. I have hazaka.
Wow, that's pretty cool then. So explain to me, because I've obviously watched you many times, but why, what is your I guess, why are you asking people why they haven't converted to Judaism already?
So it's interesting. Well, so being you were in Derech, I guess you would appreciate this. I was in Makarv in Hebrew U, like I said. That means we would reach out to overseas students and try to make them from, right? Or birthright kids. We'd be in Ben Yehuda and try to get kids and put them in yeshiva, or take them in some, it's weird. Kiruv practices in Israel are so off the wall. You take kids on some booze cruise, you get them drunk, and then you try to put them in yeshiva. It's just Christians do not evangelize like this, but this is the way you talk to Jews. It's like two different species. So I realized that every time we would have an event in Hebrew University for these unaffiliated kids, we'd get more non-Jews than Jews. In Israel, in the universities in Ben Gurion, Technion, all that, there are tons of non-Jews learning there. So then I had this idea of why not try to offer them Judaism? So then somebody told me that the Rosh Hashiva of the Derech program, which was Rav Moshe Lazarus, teaches that you're allowed to proselytize as long as you focus on Jews first. And I'm like, all right, so my friend basically got me a heter from him. I don't know if it's a heter. He basically said I'm allowed to do it, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I show it to any rabbi who gives me crap, because everybody knows. This guy's a posek. He's known, Rav Moshe Lazarus. And that's how I started encouraging people to become Jewish when I was living in Israel. I lived in Israel for 5 years, and then I started doing it big time in America. So I reach out to everyone equally, to non-Jews, to born Jews. I mean, kiruv as it exists today, or whatever, shlichut, if you're like Chabadnik, is probably less than 100 years old. People never reached out to like secular Jews to bring them close to Judaism.
Right.
Because Musar was the equivalent of chizuk. Like, you're trying to strengthen the faith of someone. You're not bringing an atheist closer.
Right.
You know, like to carve someone means to bring them close. Now, I'm all for kiruv, by the way, but I think that by Chazal, there's actually more sources to reach out to Gentiles than to reach out to atheistical brethren. So I just think it's a great idea.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, definitely, you know, as somebody who studies like the Messianic times, obviously in the Jewish scriptures, it would kind of make sense, you know, based on everything that, you know, is you know, believed to whatever will happen. No, it definitely makes sense. But at the same time, doesn't a non-Jew just have to keep the Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach?
So it depends who you asked. According to the Rambam, like in Hilchos Tshuva, he says if someone keeps the Sheva Mitzvahs, yes, they get a Hilchos Lamabah. He also says it in Hilchos Malachim. However, in Serbia, he says the opposite. He says that if someone comes to convert, we tell them that only Jews have a share in the world to come. It seems that Chazal weren't unanimous on this idea. Like Rabbi Eliezer, which was a student of like Beit Shammai, taught that Gentiles do not get a share in the world to come, no matter how righteous they were. Well, you know, like Beis Hillel did. However,
Right.
because everyone's so big on the Rambam nowadays, everyone just runs with the Rambam, and the Rambam, you know, teaches that the Chesidei Umot Olam, they get a Chelik Olam Haba. You know, but this is just the opinion of the Rambam, so we don't know it for sure. Like, if someone wants to be somewhat certain, as much certain as a religious person could be on any religious topic, it'd be better for that person to be Jewish if they really want to be certain that they're seeking God. Because it's absurd to assume that anyone could be righteous by just keeping 7 laws. Right? It's just it's kind of silly, and not to mention that we put them to death for breaking any one of the 7 laws with only one witness and no pre-warning. So then
In Judaism, you need 2.
Right, correct. And Jews aren't unalived for stealing, right? I mean, a Gentile is unalived for stealing something worth less than a shova pruta, like a Roman coin. So these modern day rabbis don't teach that, which is kind of cruel. They'll teach them, why do you want to become Jewish when you could have the same relationship, which is a lie. It's not the same. I mean, the Torah doesn't even apply to them. Like, where are they going to pray? Like, who are their kids going to marry? It's not a serious response when someone, you know, it's not an alternative to Judaism. If someone wants to keep 7 laws, then all the best, right? But if someone really wants to come closer to God, we shouldn't push them away. So any rabbi who does that, I think, is actually going against Jewish law.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, I actually know quite a few people who converted, and when they first went to the Rav, he did push them away. He pushed them away a few times before finally accepting them, and they asked him why, and he said that you have to understand, if you're thinking about converting to Judaism, it's not just, you know, learn a little bit, sign a paper, and then you're Jewish. You have to take on 613 commandments plus all the offshoots of them. So if you're going to convert to Orthodox Judaism, we need to be certain that this is something you really want to do. It's a massive, massive undertaking, and obviously, from a rabbi's perspective, you know, they don't want to give somebody the give somebody the ability to, or whatever, however you call it, to finally be Jewish, and then within 6 months, obviously, they just go off the rail. So I mean, again, it's a tricky one. I guess the main question is, like, do you think God wants non-Jewish people to convert, or?
All right, so let me respond to your first point. That's called being firmer than Chazal. Any rabbi who feels that they're going to take it upon themselves to push someone away and make conversion take a few years, what's the only example we have on how to accept converts? I mean, in the Talmud, the only example. Hillel, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that the only example?
It's the only example where someone comes to convert, and it says in every instance that Hillel converts him.
Yeah.
Miyad, right away, and then he teaches him Torah. Now, why do you think he does that? By the simple fact that somebody could be born Jewish tells us that we're not too picky on who we let in. Okay? Being Jewish means nothing. It's what you do after you become Jewish that matters. So what's the point of making someone wait for 3 years where he can't date, right? I mean, he can't even fully keep Torah. According to some rabbis, they make him turn on light switches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get him to convert, and then it's the responsibility of the community to help him grow. But this idea that the conversion itself matters, by the simple fact that you could be born Jewish, means being Jewish means nothing outside of Kabbalah. I mean, Kabbalah, Helek Elokah Mimal Mamish, they teach all this nonsense that every Jew is special just because they exist. That's nonsense. Okay, being Jewish means nothing. The vast majority of Jews are atheists. Okay, it's what you do with your Jewishness. So that's why put him in yeshiva as quick as possible after you convert him, right? I mean, it says Goy Osep Torah Hayab Mita. That Gentiles themselves really shouldn't even study Torah, which is why Hillel converted him. So it seems that they think that they know more than Hillel and like our Mishnaic rabbis.
Right. So you don't believe that every Jewish soul is in some ways. I mean, what was it exactly you said? You don't believe that every Jewish soul is special?
But the notion doesn't appear in the Talmud at all. It first appears in the Zohar.
Right. Well, I guess it's more. Yeah, I guess it's more the covenant you make with God for a Brit Milah.
Everybody has the same soul. I mean, it depends what you do with that potential. Now, Kabbalah teaches that there's a Jewish soul and there's a non-Jewish soul. Right. Like it's the first two prakim in the Tanya, and it teaches that the souls of goyim come from the sitra achra, from the unclean klipas, right? And everything they do, even the nice things they do it for like unpure purposes. They believe that Gentiles are irredeemable. Now, I know Chabad doesn't believe this, but the Baal HaTanya made no distinction between righteous Gentiles and non-righteous Gentiles. And they teach that every Jew is actually a part of God, and they can't do no wrong. And anyone who converts is because they were Jewish all along, which kind of waters down Torah, saying the only reason you want to come to Torah is because you were genetically disposed to come to Torah, not because it makes sense. Which is why they make it so hard for converts, because they feel like if you're really Jewish, if like you're one of the netzitzot that are coming back, like one of the sparks returning, then you'll do what it takes to convert. And it's their job to wash away every other fake convert that's coming just because he loves Torah and not because he or she has a Jewish soul. This is why I'm not a fan of Kabbalah.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That's okay, though.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm not against it. I just view it like a set of, there's midrashim that are beautiful and there's some midrashim that are silly, and I think that would be a silly one. Yeah.
I mean, all of Kabbalah or just like specific parts?
No. Oh, then what does that mean? I mean, I want reincarnation to be true. I mean, I like the idea of coming back. I wish I was conscious of my previous life. No one does completely everything bad, right? A broken clock is right twice a day. So I have an issue. Here, look. The Sefirot don't personally bother me. However, because I tolerate Kabbalists who believe in the Sefirot, this forces me to tolerate Messianics who believe in the Trinity. Because I view it as a matter of fact, I view the Sefirot as more problematic than the Trinity, with the idea that God has sexual organs, and he has sex with himself in the sky. I view that as more problematic. I mean, as a matter of fact, there's something called the Partsufim, and then there's the Atzilut, like the Godhead, God the Father, God the Mother, God the Son. These are things that most people don't talk about. With the Zayd on Pin, that you're supposed to, when you pray Marv, or Mincha, you're supposed to pray towards the Zayd on Pin. Most people don't know anything about Judaism when they attack Christianity. I'm not a Christian, but we have to use equal scales. That's
right. No, I haven't. I've heard a few of those things, but I haven't heard about what you were saying about God's sexual organs and whatever he was doing to himself in the sky.
Wait. I mean, you're familiar with the notion of God having a penis?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
It's that. Again, yeah, whatever that even means.
Right. We do teach it. So the modern day Kabbalists will be like, don't take it literally, but the Arizon, all these guys did. I understand that. The R.A. Kaplans and stuff like that, they sort of wash it down a little bit, because they're saying you're not supposed to study Kabbalah, at least according to the Rashba, till you're 40 years old. So the people studying it nowadays, they give them like a watered down version of it, but real Kabbalah is worse than Christianity, in my opinion.
Interesting. I mean, the truth is, I haven't really delved too much into Kabbalah. I just feel like it's, I feel like it's probably nothing I'm going to understand. If I'm being honest, I started trying to read the Zohar years ago, and it just got to the stage I was just like, "What am I even reading here?" Um, so it's just there's so much. I don't know what I believe about Kabbalah. I think there's so many. You've got the silly mystical side of it, where people do magical fancy things, but then you've got other sides of it which can give some really interesting details about like the creation of the world and what happened and what is darkness, etc., etc. So I don't really know. I don't really understand it. I think it's just there, and I don't know. Maybe one day I will, but it's definitely a bit
It's
odd and
not so
crazy in some
problematic.
ways.
It's not really that problematic. I mean, there are midrashim in the Talmud that are also problematic, but nobody walks around saying that those midrashim are, like halacha l'moshe Sinai or something. While the Zohar, I mean, they believe it's like directly from God. So that's the problem. I mean, it's like Ein Yaakov, right? I mean, Ein Yaakov is a collection of midrashim that there's silly midrashim,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, it's when you start taking them seriously that the problem arises, and then when you start pushing people away, like from a community, just because they happen to disagree, or they choose to put on tefillin during Chol Moed, like things that the Zohar is against, which I think goes against, halacha. This is why Sfardim, that when they put on tefillin, they have to sit down because the Zohar says, to do it. There's a bunch of things that the Zohar says to do that has nothing to do with halacha. Lag BaOmer, that's not so much in the, it's not in the Talmud. I think it's more by the Arizal, Abshirim, the Shalom Zachar, all this stuff. Like, what the whole notion behind Abshirim, like why we do that was because demons. Yeah, but so that's the practice of not cutting a kid's hair, for those who don't know, to the age of 3 or 4. Some people say it's tied to like the orla, like the trees that you don't trim to the age of 3, but the real reason is that, according to Kabbalistic Judaism, what demons are trying to like unalive your boys. This is also the practice of Shalom Zachar, which is the Shabbos before a baby has his bris. Like, everyone has a minyan. They'll have a minyan in the house, like, of the boy who's about to be circumcised, to kind of push the demons away and protect the boy spiritually, because demons are trying to hurt Jewish boys. So the notion of the Abshirim is that they don't cut the boy's hair, and in Europe, they would dress him up in dresses, but to make the demons think girl. There's so much nonsense. There's just so much. Even Eshet Hayil. Well, the reason we sing Eshet Hayil, like on Shabbos, has nothing to do with your wife, by the way. It's sung to the feminine nature of the Sefirot of God. And most people don't know that. Most people think that it's, something you sing to your wife. No, it's sung to the Shekhinah. It's like one of the Sefirot also, Shalom Aleichem, like you're praying and beseeching angels. Everything is upside down and nobody's teaching this. This is the only reason I teach Torah online, because I feel that I'm providing a service. There's some rabbis, like Rabbi David Brachaim and some other rationalist rabbis, I think Rabbi Joseph Or when he was alive, who taught like this. But there's probably around 8 of us. So the message has to go out, so I continue doing my thing. Yeah.
Interesting, mate. Very, very interesting. At the same time, obviously everybody, most people, they sing a Shechayil as an example, and they read, and they very much believe that this is something that you have to say. I heard that many times, by the way, about singing to the feminine nature of Hashem. But again, most people understand it one way, and of course, as you've explained just now, it actually means something else. But that's my issue with many of these concepts, whether it's a mystical concept, Kabbalah, etc., that maybe it's just because I don't understand it. Like, you don't believe in Kabbalah, could it maybe not be that there's just something deeper or another meaning you're just not getting?
Well, like from a devotional perspective, possibly, but that's not the way Kabbalists teach it. They teach it's binding on all of Israel. So I have no problem understanding even stuff. If I read something that Jesus said and I'm like, that makes sense, it's beautiful, right? I could accept it like that. But they've developed even the notion of pardes, right?
Yeah.
It appears by Chazal, but by Kabbalists is Pashat, Remes, Rash, and Sod. So now they're interpreting Torah from a Kabbalistic perspective, from an authoritative Kabbalistic perspective. Well, so they'll give like a whole shiur for an hour on Gematria, and they'll teach it like Torah says, and they'll utter their weird thing that they conjured up. So it's an attempt to disorganize Judaism from an authoritative perspective. It's really Jewish anarchy. What makes someone a kosher Jew is believing in Torah Shebiktav and Torah Shebal Peh.
Right.
The question is, what is Torah Shebal Peh? Torah Shebal Peh are only the legal rulings of the Sanhedrin, and that's it. Only the legal rulings, nothing metaphysical. The rabbis have no authority on anything metaphysical. If you're forced to believe anything metaphysical, it has to come directly from the Chumash, because that's the only thing we receive from God. The mitzvah of lo tasur, of not straying from the right to the left of what the court instructs, only has to do with what you do. La halacha le'maaseh. Like now, that when they start saying that the oral law includes the Zohar and every medrash, that's a dumbification. It says in Hilchos Sanhedrin that the Sanhedrin would vote things into existence. I mean, you can't vote metaphysical concepts into existence, like only legal things. How do you keep Shabbat? How do you keep Yom Kippur? Not whether the Messiah is going to come tomorrow or if demons exist. Like Menachem Mendel of Kutsk. He's like, oh, well, demons cease to exist. That when the Rambam said that he didn't believe in them. He poskened them out of existence. This is like this primitive way of Judaism. So you can appreciate other books as long as you consider them optional, right? But what makes you Jewish is believing in Chazal, specifically in the Mishnah, because the Gemara is just a commentary to the Mishnah, right? I mean, because there was no smicha in Bavel. So all you have to believe in is in the 5 books of Moses, and I take it upon myself to guide people to Mishnah Torah, which is the Rambam's attempt to codify all of Halakha. And that's all you need. That's all you ever have to study. You don't even have to study the prophets, right? Although, I mean, it's a halacha that you have to read the Haftarah like every week. But in terms of an obligation, to be a kosher Jew, memorize the 5 books of Moses and master halacha, specifically by the Rambam, like his Masorah of it, because like the Shulchan Aruch included a lot of Kabbalistic practices, which is why people nowadays claim to go by Shulchan Aruch, which is really 90% Rambam to begin with. But if you went by Shulchan Aruch only, you would still be going mainly by the Rambam. But people today who say they go by Shulchan Aruch don't really go by Shulchan Aruch. They go by Mishnah Berurah, Shulchan Aruch Harav, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So they're in. Man, Judaism is the religion that its practitioners know the least about how it functions. Nobody, like, there's a handful of people, who happen to know. I don't know anything compared to real people, but I'm the only one I'm the only Orthodox rabbi who teaches this, who happens to have 1,000 followers on TikTok. Okay, or who cares to teach it in a room full of Gentiles. Right. And also because I proselytize, I have to be able to package what I believe and give it over to other people. So then my outlook is a little more sophisticated than the average Chabadnik will tell you that believe that even the sichas of the Rebbe that were given in Har Sinai. So this is the basic introduction to Asher Meza.
Interesting. So, I mean, because where do you believe Kabbalah came from? Because it's definitely there, and it's definitely got some interesting and crazy substance to it. So where do you believe it came from?
So rationalists believe that it was written in 1270 of the Common Era by a rabbi named Moshe de Leon in Spain, because it first appeared in Spain. Right. Now, Kabbalah doesn't mean mysticism, because there was mysticism in the Talmud. I mean, it's called like Maser Merkava or Maser Bereshis, and that was extracted from like Yeheskel's dream, and no one really knows what's happening. I think the Rambam writes in Mor Nevuchim that there was a mystical tradition, but he never received it, and that's the extent of it. But there's even magic in the Talmud. I mean, we don't need necessarily Kabbalah, but now we have like Pulsa de Nora. I don't know, like, you ever heard of that? Like Pulsa de Nora?
No.
So Pulsa de Nora is like spells. Like in Arabic, it means like lashes of fire. There's witchcraft in Kabbalah that you could put spells on other people.
Yeah, no, I knew that. The Gemara talks about that.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I see it is, I completely agree with you. If you want to, for this world, I mean, all you need is the 5 books of Moses and the Mishnah Torah, and just basically, as you said, master halacha. That's literally all you do. That's all you need. Learn the 5 books of Moses and keep halacha. The thing is, I very much believe in Kabbalah. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know. I know various bits and pieces, but I feel like,
How can you believe
what
in
is
it?
it? Pardon me?
How can you believe in
Well,
Kabbalah?
no, I believe, I believe that, I mean, Kabbalah, as you said, it means received.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, it sounds like you're just trying to like find a nice shidduch by saying that
No,
statement
no, not
publicly.
at all, not at all. What I'm saying is that, there's so much as I continue to learn, I go through even the books of prophets and I'm reading something, and then as I'm understanding it and looking at the commentaries, I'm realizing, oh wait, I actually didn't understand that at all. So I believe that, Kabbalah is something I just don't understand right now. I believe it's definitely holy in some way. It's got a lot of things I need to learn, but I'm just not there yet. I think from the things that have been explained to me over the years, it's not necessarily what we need, but it doesn't mean it's not something that people can benefit from. If our main goal as a Jew is to get closer to God, right?
Eh, I think the main goal of a Jewish person is to impact the world with Torah values, but it's a catch-22 close to the offer of the Torah. So yeah.
Well, then what's your belief with regards to like Olam Haba or anything like that?
So I personally believe in like Gehenna and I don't know if Olam Haba is the right word, but in like some sort of afterlife. But I don't think the Torah requires me to believe in it. Just because I said before that every mystical concept has to appear in the Torah. However, it's hard for God to be just, like if there isn't something more, because there's a lot of good people who don't get justice in this world, and there's a lot of crappy people who thrive. But I don't really care what the rabbis have to say about it. I don't care, like in the Mishnah and Ediot, it says that Gehenna is 12 months, but like, we only say it's 11 months because no one's going to say someone is like enough of a Russia to spend 12 months. Like this is opinion, right? And they contradict. Right. There's like Kafakela. There's all these different. It's creative writing, and if people want to take it seriously, and it's used as a way to make people frum. It seems that the reason to keep mitzvot in the Torah, it's only because it's the right thing to do, and that's probably the most honorable reason to do anything. Not because you're scared to go to hell, which is what like Yossi Mizrahi and all these people, they bank on that. That's why all their students are just Bukharian, like like Neanderthals. No, you should do the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing, and this is why God never mentioned heaven or hell, because He knew that coercion. I mean, there's no the reason to just be good because you're scared of hell, right? And I just think it's more sophisticated to teach it like that. I mean, you'll get better people instead of getting people who would have come anyways.
Yeah, it's fair enough. But then you have, I hear what you're saying. I do. It's interesting, but then you have like certain mitzvot which, I don't really get as to why they would be beneficial for me in this world. For example, tefillin. Like, how does that benefit me in this world?
Oh no, I mean it's a hook, right? I mean, so well, the Torah doesn't make a distinction. We have mitzvot ben adam lechavero and mitzvot ben adam lemakom, right? Like rational mitzvot and non-rational mitzvot. So I think that we tolerate the unrational ones for the sake of the ones that actually make sense. I think because the Torah, is so revolutionary on an ethical level, I could tolerate things like the Paraduma and things that make no sense to me. Okay, the ceremonial practices that are really there to protect the ethical ones by just filling up our free time. But why would you think that the reason you're keeping commandments that you don't know why you keep them are just to go to heaven?
No, not all the commandments at all. I believe, that commandments there's certain commandments which can be beneficial for a person here in this world as well. But I don't think it makes sense. To me, it doesn't make sense.
No, for sure, it doesn't make sense.
No. What I'm saying, it doesn't make sense that everything I do from in regards to Judaism and keeping whatever the mitzvah I do, it doesn't make sense to me that it's all just for this world. I believe it has to be towards something afterwards, specifically the ones I maybe don't understand. I mean, maybe the ones between myself and God, that is specific to me, whatever happens afterwards when I die, and the ones between Ben Adam Lechavero, that's specific for this world. It could be. I just think there has to be more to it.
That's for sure a possibility, but it's just not explicit in the Torah, right? The bulk of what the Torah says on the issue is that He's going to write you in a book, whatever that
Yeah.
means. I believe in a heaven. But someone who debates religion, I mean, as a pastime, I have to be very accurate to what the Bible says, right? The Bible
Right.
doesn't talk about hell; it just doesn't talk about heaven, and we built so much on it. And it seems that, I mean, God tells us that the secret things are for God, and only what's revealed is for us and our children to do. Like, He's basically telling us, don't worry about an afterlife. But everything revolves around an afterlife nowadays.
Right.
Everything, and worse, everything revolves around Mashiach. When the notion doesn't literally appear in the Torah either. So everything's upside down. It's just everything's upside down.
So, what are your views on the Ketuvim and the Nevi'im then?
I consider them not the word of God. I think they're there to bring you back to the Torah.
Well, yeah, that is exactly what they're there for.
Yeah, no, but most people make no distinction between, I don't know, Sefer Yehasko and like Bamidbar. And that's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. As a matter of fact, in terms of halacha, the halacha to write a Sefer Torah is that you have to copy it from another Sefer Torah, right? For accuracy.
Right.
The books of the prophets could be written from memory, right? I mean, it's only nowadays that people view the books of the prophets like an almanac of things to come. The books of the prophets are not books of prophecy. The books of the prophets are there to give you a historical account of the life and times of those prophets, to show you how God acted and reacted throughout history, to bring fear of God into us, to bring us back to the Torah. But the simple fact that a prophet can add one mitzvah to the Torah means there's nothing new to learn in the prophets. They're just there reminding you what the initial message is. But try to teach that to a Jew, Christian, or a Muslim. They're like, what do you mean? They spend hours trying to debate Christians on the book of Isaiah when they could honestly say that if Isaiah said Jesus is the Messiah, we could confidently say, thank you, Isaiah. We're still going to choose not to believe in him. You're not allowed to add any requirement for us to believe in. If it doesn't appear in the Torah, it's not required of us. So people, I don't know why Tovia Singer spends hours debating Tanakh from a Christian perspective. The prophets are on the level of importance almost close to the Mishnah. And the Mishnah is actually more important because there's laws in the Mishnah that are obligatory. There's no law in the prophets that's obligatory.
Right. No, that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, I know Tovia Singer. I've watched a bunch of his videos. He's pretty great at what he does.
Yeah.
But I think he debates because they use the same scriptures to try and prove what they believe.
I think he has a chip on his shoulder, and I think anyone who donates money to the counter-missionary movement is throwing their money away. There's no threat of Christians converting Jews. Okay, there's absolutely no threat. The biggest threat in the Jewish world is atheism. And no one is throwing money towards that. 54% of born Jews identify as atheists. That's the biggest threat. I actually wish every atheistical Jew would convert to Christianity than remain an atheist, right? And for some reason, people think, they see Jews for Judaism and, oh my God, they're trying to convert us. They're not successful. And the Jews they do convert, I'm glad they convert to Christianity than remain atheists, assuming they were atheists. I mean, if they're a traditional Israeli Jew, stay Jewish. Right, but if you're an atheistical Jew, become a Christian or a Muslim, an ethical Christian or Muslim.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the statistics about how many successful cases there have been of Jews converting to Christianity. I do know a couple personally, but I guess that's really just going to be mainly your opinion versus his, though.
Okay. I think things in life either confirm the obvious or are typically wrong. Okay.
Can you? This is again with Christianity. It's obviously a lot easier to, I guess, do what Tovia Singer is doing as opposed to against atheists.
What do you mean? If Tovia Singer was here, listen. What you shouldn't do is destroy someone's faith and not give them an alternative, a viable alternative to the faith you're destroying. Tovia Singer makes more atheists than converts and more Karaites than Noites. So he works, his mission actually hurts the world. If he would say, I'm going to destroy your religion, but you know what? After I destroy it, I'm going to welcome you to my religion. That's beautiful. He destroys your religion and he gives them nothing in return. That's stupid. The average person who becomes a Noahide ends up becoming atheist, okay? Or becomes a Karaite. It's such a stupid movement. Now, if if his goal was to in some way water down Christianity and bring people to Judaism, then that would make more sense. So he has a chip on his shoulder that he just, I guess, embodies years and years of anti-Christian sentiment. But his goal is not to make the world a better place, but just to make Jews feel good for years and years of Christian anti-Semitism.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I haven't watched all of his videos, so I obviously can't comment. I can say that I believe I've heard him a few times after he basically does what he does of trying to destroy Christianity, then saying, my Christian brothers and sisters, please, it's time to, I don't know, I'm just paraphrasing, accept the God of Israel and, go to your synagogue and learn about him. And so...
Not synagogue, because like non-Jews aren't welcome in the synagogue.
Oh, go to whatever he said. Again, I was just paraphrasing. I thought that was kind of what he was going for, but
the average doesn't even know what a noite is, by the way.
I mean,
but the average rabbi doesn't know what a noite is. So if someone walks into a synagogue and says, "I want to be a noite," they'll be like, "What's that?" I mean, you either want to convert or you leave.
Right.
Right. It's so perplexing. I think you have to be taught this, that we don't encourage people to become Jewish. I mean, what do we expect people to do, especially if we're going to attack their religion? It just makes absolutely no sense. And it makes no sense that they fight me tooth and nail and they defame me up and down. Not that, I mean, I feed off this, okay? I mean, the more they push, the more I push back, right? But I could see why most people stay down after they get hit, right? I mean, I'm proud to be a convert. Like, if I found out tomorrow that my mother was Jewish, I would lie and say that I'm a convert to tell everyone that if I could do it, you could do it. Okay? Because one of my main goals in life is to de-ethnicize Judaism, to wash out the bad blood and bring some purpose back into this religion. Because the people who are running it, the average person, not every Orthodox Jew, but probably around 90%, misrepresents Judaism and makes, God look bad to the rest of the world. And especially on TikTok, unfortunately, especially on TikTok.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel like everybody nowadays wants to be some sort of preacher on TikTok. Jewish, Christian, anyone who knows only half of, anything, to be honest. But one thing I wanted to ask you was, forgive me, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say now.
Yeah, but do you agree that that the world would be a better place if we had more religious Jews?
I mean, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
You don't believe that?
More religious Jews.
You said okay, like in
That's my whole shtick. My whole shtick is bringing people to Torah, that whether you have a Jewish mother or not. Look at the whole thing. Why haven't you converted? And I would say that I bring more secular Jews back to Judaism than I bring Christians to Judaism, by the way. Of course, that's my whole shtick. But if you feel it's such a good idea, then why don't you proselytize then?
Well, maybe I will. Are you asking me personally?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I will. I've still got a heck of a lot to learn. You know
enough. You know enough.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Right now, I enjoy watching.
You're being humble.
Yeah, but when I watch people like yourself, obviously every time I learn something new. So I've clearly still got a lot to learn, and when I definitely feel like I can, I will. But one question I had for you is because obviously you don't, like you said, you don't believe in, I guess a lot of the airy fairy mystical side of Judaism. But what about those people who really actually feed off that and that sort of brings them towards Judaism?
More power to them. I'm not against it. I'm not against Kabbalah. I just teach that it's optional to believe. I get it. There's some people in Israel, well, there's a yeshiva for every style, right? If you're a hippie, you go to Batayin or like Simchat Shlomo, or like if you're like very stark Litvish, I don't know, like where do you learn? Like the Mir, right? I mean, there's a place for everybody. But what we shouldn't do is start judging other Jews and say that if you don't hold by my Rebbeim, like you're not Jewish.
Yeah, that's 100% wrong.
So what unites us is Torah Shabbat Peh and Torah Shabbat Tav. That's it. Everything else, I have Shabbos tables where the Mishachistim walk in and they're like, like Yechi Adonenu, Morenu Rabbeinu, and I don't give a crap. I'm actually glad that that Mishachistim exists. Like Lubavitchers who believe the Rebbe is Mashiach, because they're like the happiest Jews I've ever seen. That and Nanachs, smoking weed and throwing CDs out the window of their car or whatever, right? There's a Judaism for everybody.
Right.
But at the same time, this forces us to accept Messianics too. Because if they also believe in Torah Shabbat Peh and Torah Shabbat Tav, but they believe that their Rebbe is in Atzmut and a goof, like whatever.
Yeah.
Then the more the merrier.
Interesting. Okay. So it's not really about why they're doing it, it's just the fact that they're coming closer.
Oh, right. No, it doesn't. Who cares about sincere beliefs? Honestly, that when a family converts to Judaism, you're telling me everyone in the family is as devout as the person who decided to convert?
No, for sure not.
I mean, sometimes a woman is converting for a guy, and I'm all for that, by the way. I think throughout Jewish history, like, Jews would travel, settle, marry the local women, convert them to Judaism, and all people want is structure and family. They don't really, just give a woman structure and give her good leadership, and like, she'll follow suit. I mean, a guy converting for someone else, that's kind of weird. Yeah, it doesn't matter why you come, just come.
Okay. Very cool.
You see,
What
I'm
would
not
you
as
say?
sorry as people thought.
Yeah.
I mean, as you heard. I mean, there's some, like some sense to the madness.
Well, there has to be.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So what would you say is the ultimate goal of a Jew?
To leave this world a little better than they found it. And I think that we do that by emphasizing the individual moral training that appears in the Torah.
Right.
Which would include,
I like that.
like hukim, like things we don't understand, like putting on tefillin and stuff like that. That we don't understand. So the Rambam writes that regarding a chok, not that we will never understand it, but we just don't understand it now. So maybe in the future we realize that putting tefillin in our heads, I don't know, like activated some sort of some chemical in your brain, whatever. But we tolerate the irrational mitzvah.
Oh, he dropped off.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's Satan. I mean, Satan's like, no, not today. All right.
It's late, Rabbi. It's almost midnight where you are.
Yeah. I got to talk to my Omri. Wink, wink. All right. Let's see. Oh, all right. I mean, he fought his way through the devil. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. So you're here fighting demons to come back.
Yeah. That's exactly it, my friend. That is exactly it.
So what do you do for a living?
But I like that. I do real estate and currently starting a prop tech company.
Crop tech?
Prop tech, property technology.
Oh, property technology. All right.
Yeah, in New York.
Oh, so you live in America?
Yeah, I'm in America. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't be deceived by it. I live in New York.
Cool. Where?
I live in a small town called Oceanside in Long Island.
All right.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Where
I
are
was
you
actually
based?
born in Passaic. I guess most people don't know it. Yeah, but when I was
I know
born
people
there,
say it.
it wasn't what it is now, because I wasn't born Jewish. I mean, I converted to Judaism like 25 years ago. But it was like, I mean, now it's like Lakewood, but it's weird. I mean, I have yichus now. I mean, I'm from like a from place. Not even wanting to be. But yeah, no, I'm in South Florida, so if you're ever in town, we'll get a beer.
Yeah, we've been saying we're going to move to Florida for the past like 4 years now. So
yeah, everybody from New York is saying that.
Maybe one day. I actually, before I actually joined the live, you actually invited me, and I don't know, I was trying to press accept, but it wouldn't let me. But I could still listen. And you guys, you're talking about a Dybbuk. right? Way back. And again, I just want to share this story. I don't know I don't know how much of it is true. It happened to my great aunt, my mother's aunt. My mother's aunt was basically born simple. She had like hearing problems. She was a bit learning difficulties, etc. She was a bit of a simpleton, and she had a cousin who unfortunately could never have kids. And my great aunt gets pregnant. And in the hospital, after she gives birth, she holds the baby for 10 minutes and then she almost throws the baby to the nurse and says, I don't want it. And just closes her eyes and just doesn't say anything. And my grandmother, who's there at the time, is like, what on earth is happening here? So she starts trying to wake my great aunt up and she just won't wake up. And they don't know what to do. She's thrown the baby to the nurse, they're trying to wake her up. She won't wake up. Now, here's the part that was told to me. Apparently, 5 minutes later, my great aunt just starts saying Tehillim off by heart in a man's voice. Really, really creepy. Also, this was on Shabbat as well. So the doctors are freaking out. My grandmother's freaking out. My great aunt is just lying there, apparently saying Tehillim off by heart in a man's voice, whatever that even means. They didn't know what to do. So there was a Makubal. There's always a Makubal in the neighborhood. You know how it is. So they were
identifying as a woman.
Pardon me?
No,
very good. So the way the story was told to me was that they went to this. They walked over to the Makubal's house. Again, it was Shabbat, and they told the Makubal what happened, and the Makubal said to them, "Go get me one of her, an item of clothing, something that she wears." So they ran back to her house. They got a scarf that she liked to wear. They came back to the Makubal's house, and he took it, and he went in a room for about 3 hours, and they were just sitting there waiting on Shabbat afternoon. He finally comes out. And he gives them the scarf and he says, you have to walk straight to the hospital and you're not allowed to say a single word to anybody on the street. Now, I don't know if you know much about London, but this was Stamford Hill. So this is obviously a very, very heavily Jewishly populated area, Hasidic area. Yeah, very much. Yeah, there's something Hasidic to everyone. And so they take this scarf and you can imagine everybody's saying Shabbat Shalom, etc. on their way. And they go to the hospital. They go in the bed. They're freaking out because she's still mumbling Tehillim off by heart. And my grandma said she just dropped the scarf on her forehead and my great aunt just opened her eyes and said, where's my baby? As if nothing had happened. They tried to ask if she remembers anything before that. And she said,
So a deep book is not like a shade. Like it's not a demon. From
no, it's
like
a soul.
Right, it's a displaced soul. So it's the soul of somebody else who's in sort of limbo. But I mean, have you seen like the beginning of this movie called A Simple Man?
No.
Like it was made by the Coen brothers, but the beginning of the movie, like during the shtetl in Europe, and this guy comes to the door in the middle of the night, and then like he looks like someone they know, but he's saying some incorrect information, and the grandmother comes out the back. And then she stabs him in the chest. And then he just looks and he laughs and he like walks away. And it was a D-book. But I mean, there's tons of these stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, no, it was just again, I don't know. I'm very much torn between these, supernatural things. On the one hand, I think to myself, well, I mean, there must be supernatural.
Tell such stories.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, is that it's really never mentioned it's throughout Tanakh. I mean, not throughout Tanakh, throughout the 5 books of Moses, it's almost never mentioned, very few times, which is why it's clear that that's all, as you said, that's all you really need for this world. I guess if you want to understand other elements and, other aspects of whether it's other worlds or the world to come, that's when you could start looking into whether it's Kabbalah, whether it's some of the other books, I don't know. I just think there has to be something. There's got to be something other than this.
With YouTube, I mean, it would have been caught on YouTube by now. This is why. I mean, I just don't know people.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I can't argue with that. I mean, technology nowadays, you would think. Problem is, you don't know what's real, not real now on technology.
So, I think mysticism is man's attempt to control chance. With the notion that bad things happen to us for absolutely no reason, and we won't know till, what's the term, teku, right?
Yeah.
I mean, till like Mashiach comes. it drives people nuts. So this is why people, wear hamsas and evil eyes and the red bindles and all this stuff, because they're trying to control chance. They think that if something is coming their way, they could propel it away. Instead of coming to the conclusion, like thinking like a big boy and saying, there's like sometimes there are no answers like for the things that happen to us in life, and we just have to keep trucking on, and we can't try to control what happens to us. That's the birth of mysticism, like trying to alter reality to protect yourself. When, like people wonder, like, why do children like die at childbirth? Oh, it must have been because he broke Shabbos in a previous life. It must be a demon. It must be this. No, some things just happen.
Yeah,
It
I
says this in
agree with.
Kohelet, by the way. But in Kohelet, it says that the race is not for the fast or for the strong, but chance affects everybody. And anything, like if somebody dies in your life, it's not because they did something wrong necessarily. It just happens, like, yeah. And I think, I mean, it's a way to infantilize your religious experience,
Yeah.
mysticism.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, even the prophets, they don't speak about this really. The prophets are only really there. Well, I know some of the prophets are in the stories do some fantastical things, but prophets, I mean, all they really do is just tell us when we're acting like idiots and tell us what's going to happen and then basically tell us how to come back. That's virtually everything they do. And I mean, they never once say go study Kabbalah or go study about the supernatural aspects of other world. It's always the same thing: learn Torah, come to God, and repent. So yeah, I guess that's going to be my next journey, which is then what would be the point of a supernatural side of things? I don't know.
So apart from making the world a better place, which I think is the job of every Jewish person, I think God put us here to enjoy life. I mean, there's a magic like this, that when you die, one of the first things that God's going to ask you is to give an account of every permissible pleasure you denied yourself. So that means, like ride motorcycles, skydive, like kill a terrorist, like enjoy life. And don't, this notion that you have to study Torah day and night is fanatical. It's fanatical and it's unhealthy. And just because the crazy people have taken over Orthodoxy, right? What did they tell you in yeshiva, like Olam Haba was like? Like you're in a room, studying Torah with a bunch of old people. That has to be the most depressing, the most unappealing, at least the Muslims have, 70 Virginians, right? Like George Washington, John Adams, right? That was like a misprint. It's so silly that we have these theological gatekeepers that just, like try to hijack everything in Judaism. No, enjoy life, right? Have hobbies. And of course, study Torah, but just be normal and have fun. And I think this is the Orthodox perspective, before it was taken over by the Kabbalists.
Fair point. I can't say anything against that. I think that's a fair point.
That's it.
Yeah, it says that in Ecclesiastes, I think. That's literally all.
Ecclesiastes is kind of a downer.
Kohelet.
Everything's meaningless.
Yeah, it's like have
That's
fun.
right. And the next
enjoy
book
the
or
time,
previous book
enjoy the time you have.
is where the soft porn starts, with Shir Hashirim. It's true. I mean, if that's how God loves the Jewish people, oh boy. Because it doesn't say it's God, by the way. I mean, Shir Hashirim is like, it's like Shlomo Melech, like making love like to a black woman, right? Because it says, like I'm black and I'm comely. It's funny, like the black Hebrew Israelites think that's like Solomon speaking, but they never read the chapter completely because it's a black woman talking like about herself. But then Rabbi Akiva says that no, that's God and the Jewish people. Of course, it says that nowhere in the text, which is why, I don't know, like Sunday school teachers don't read it to kids. Like your breasts are like doves and your feet are like whatever. What are you going to do?
Yeah, but could you imagine reading that to horny little, 12-year-old boys?
Well, think about it. I mean, before the internet, that itself was enough to drive a kid mad.
Honestly.
So why are you going to the bathroom with Tanakh?
Yeah, didn't they say who was it? Who was it? Tamar. Tamar used to sit under the date tree, and the men would see her, and she was so hot that they would basically rush back to have sex with their wives.
Oh, interesting. There's another medrash about like about Tamar that like justifies the niqab. It says that the reason couldn't know who Tamar was because she always walked around with her face covered. So there's women in Beit Shemesh today like that also walk around with their face covered. I mean, people make fun of them, but there's a source for everything. You know,
Yeah.
I don't discount what Jews do as crazy because I'm sure there's a source, you know, somewhere. Like you know, the Rambam says that women have to wear a hijab, but I guess most people don't learn the Rambam. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Rambam was pretty strict. He said that you could also hit your wife with a stick.
A wayward woman, you know. But I mean, that's kind of like top G-ish, no? Yeah. So
Yeah.
what color was the Rambam's Bugatti? Oh, never mind.
No,
I
I'm
was
literally
literally,
laughing. I'm laughing on you so
John
hard.
Wayne.
I'm just laughing.
I'm a big John Wayne fan, by the way. I've seen every John Wayne movie, but in every John Wayne movie, he kind of gives him a little schlep, you know. And who slaps women? James freaking Bond. I mean, remember what's his name? The guy who played James Bond.
John Connery.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, John Connery got in trouble for saying like sometimes you have to give him a little schlep. You know? But women responded to that back then. Obviously, women nowadays, it's not. You know, times change, I guess. Whatever. But John Wayne used to beat the ass of every woman in the world. Whatever.
Wait, Rabbi Asher, are you married?
Yeah.
Very nice. And you live in South Florida. Whereabout?
Hollywood.
Ah, very nice. I was there for a wedding last year, I think.
No, I'm in the Frum community. This is like the largest Jewish community.
I love it there.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah,
I'm so sick of New York. So one day.
New York sucks. I mean,
I like New York.
cold.
New York, you don't get that view anywhere else. That's the only thing.
No, in terms of Yiddishkeit, I mean, New York. I mean, if you can't live in Yerushalayim, I mean, New York is. I mean, you go to New Square, you go to Monroe, you're like go from Tish to Tish. I dig it, you know. But apart from that, like having to make money there, everything's so expensive, and it's like the left. Yeah, like New Yorkers, please don't bring your politics if you come to Florida. Okay, that we're happy with our conservative governor and you know, freedom.
Florida is the place to be. Can I ask, are the taxes that bad in New York?
Absolutely. Come on, man. It's New York. Elliot, are you on the right?
Am I on the right?
Yeah.
I would say I'm more right leaning.
Okay. All right.
Is that okay?
It's acceptable. It'll pass. You know.
You know, I never know these days. You know, I never know what to disclose.
I'm to the right of Bush and to the left of God.
Oh, that's wow. I like, even though I don't necessarily agree with that, I like it. Never heard anyone say that before. Listen, each to their own. You know, I don't care where people lean. Everyone has a right to choose.
It's kind of hard. Well, I don't know. I mean, clearly Torah law is not it's not applicable in Golis, but I think that we have to vote our values. So, like, if your values are Torah values, they're typically going to align more to the right than the left.
I think we should restore it.
Well, we can't by force in America, which is what makes Israel or like Judaism, I think, sophisticated.
No, it's
Because
too late
Islam,
for America. It's too late. Yeah.
like Islam has a vision of a global caliphate, so there's nowhere to run. However, like throughout Jewish history, the vast majority of Jews always lived outside of the land because they wanted a form of Judaism light. But the only halacha, well, there's no halacha to live in Israel, by the way. Where the halacha is to visit 3 times a year, right?
Right.
And this whole thing that during Mashiach everyone's going to go is only a medrash. There's no obligation, to do that. So it shows kind of a level of sophistication that God knows that being uber frum is not for everybody. And truth be told, this notion that rabbinic Judaism was so like elevated in Galut is sort of like a new rendition. I mean, people understood that rabbinic laws didn't really apply in Galut. Of course, I mean, I'm a rabbinic Jew, but I mean, in practicality, everything we do is in practice of what will be done in the land of Israel after the Geula. So, yeah,
But do you not think it would? I mean, even though the halakha is only to visit 3 times a year, uh, and you only have to keep the commandments when you're inside Israel, would that? Well, I mean, would it subsequently not make sense then to actually live in Israel?
Well, no, because I think it says if you're even too far away to make the journey, you still doesn't it say to do the sacrifice? You correct me if I'm
No, you're
wrong,
wrong.
guys,
You're
but
wrong. You're wrong. I mean, you can't. What do you mean? We'll do the sacrifice later, or do it? Yeah.
no, no, like I'm trying to remember where I was reading because it's the law is different when you get to Moshe and it's just different.
The law
I
doesn't
might be
change.
incorrect.
So yeah, that we can't offer sacrifices outside of the base of Bahira, like the place that God chose. Is it good to just live in Israel? Yeah, for sure. No, that's the ideal. I mean, for sure, the ideal is to live in Israel. But if you can't, then you're not breaking any halacha.
No, but you can only do mitzvot. You can only really. I mean, it's only a chiyuv to do mitzvot in Israel. So,
Well, I mean, the ones that are applicable in Israel. I mean,
well,
I don't know, like Kivud Avayim. I mean, you have to do everywhere, right?
yeah.
Reading the
I
Megillah.
mean, yeah, okay, granted. Yeah, that's just a pretty ethical and moral thing in most cultures. But I think if doing the mitzvot is only applicable in Israel, and obviously most people do want to do more mitzvot, then it would subsequently make sense to, I guess, spend your life there.
Yeah, no, it's ideal. I mean, I made Aliyah because I was Dati Lumi, and then I left like a non-Zionist because I can't stand Israelis. I just can't stand freaking Israelis. I don't know why most people don't have the guts to say that. Like when you're speaking lashon hora on the Jewish people, but they almost every Israeli. Not there's some beautiful Israelis, okay. And where I lived in a place called Kohava Shachar, which is like I mean it's in the Shtachim, but it's like 40 minutes from Yerushalayim. Everyone's beautiful. All right, but the average Israeli has like some mental thing. It's I don't know what it is. And as a convert, I think I see it more than most people because I wasn't born Jewish. I mean, I know the difference, and I know a crazy person when I see one. And yeah,
I mean, they're
I need
Israelis
to see
are a
this.
unique breed.
I need to see
That's
this
for
to
sure.
believe. I need to see this. I need to see what because he
I mean, I
always
kind of
says
feel
that.
bad.
He
You're
always says
Dante.
it.
I mean, I don't want to sound racist, but I mean, are you black?
Yeah, I'm black. Well, I'm actually my grandmother's. I think she said her mother's mother
No, it's fine. It's fine.
was Native American. She's like Indian, so we it's some tribe with Native not Indian Native
All
American
right.
some tribe.
So I got a feeling that you may be a little disheartened by going to Israel. I'm just
Why?
saying. I mean, I'm looking at this guy, Nissim Black. Right. So Nissim Black went to Israel, and they wouldn't let his kid in the school because he was black.
Why? Because he was
Uh,
black.
well, even Chabad today doesn't accept Ethiopian kids in their yeshivas, and no one talks about this. They sort of like brush it under the rug for different reasons. I mean, one because they don't consider them Jewish, but they don't even say like if you convert, you could come in. It's not racism. There's a lot of xenophobia there, which means like the fear of the unknown. So, I'm not.
I would call it racism. I would.
Yeah.
Just because
Okay.
I
No.
experienced it as a black man,
I mean,
I'm
granted,
more familiar with it, right?
but if you're used to it, I mean, I'm
Oh yeah,
Spanish. Okay. I mean,
I'm
long
from New
story.
Orleans,
What?
right? Yeah, I'm from New Orleans, man. It's everyone here. I'm used to everyone. We have
Start out with.
right. Yes, he's
Yeah.
17. I'm not too. I'm from like he. I'm me and him. I had still used to go to his barber. Like that's he. We're actually related. His
Oh,
this is a
really?
long story. Yeah, his dad. He had a stepfather, the man that died, that got killed. He's went to jail with my uncle. And my uncle used to do a lot of that stuff. He went to jail for like 20 years. Got pulled over with like 20 bricks. It was some crazy stuff.
Yeah. So what does tunch mean? When he says tunch.
Tunchi, that was his grandmother's the nickname his grandmother gave him, Tune. Cause he's been rapping. Like my barber always tells me that he used to have notebooks when he was like 7 years old. He used to always rap for the family. Like he's just been a rapper. Yeah, my mom went to school with him. Like she went to high school with him before he dropped out. Like it's New Orleans is small. It's a small city. It's smaller than you think. It's very small.
Now, what show anywhere on TikTok are you going to get Torah and like Lil Wayne rap history? No, for sure. So, no, I'm just preparing you, but I'm pretty sure you're used to it. You know, there's a lot of, like I said, in Judaism, if you look different, they're going to treat you bad. Okay. And not always. I would encourage you to stick more with Ashkenazim. People think, because I'm Spanish, I mean, the same thing happens in the Spanish world. Spanish people think they're going to be accepted more by Sephardic Jews. Not true. Ashkenazim are more accepted if you look different than Sephardic people. Because if you're Sephardi and you don't speak Hebrew, you know, like, and you're not Israeli, they're extremely cliquish. Ashkenazim are more open and more Western-minded, so they were accepted. There's a reason that Nissan Black is Ashkenazi and not Sephardi. Okay, there's a reason that Shine, you know, became Ashkenazi and not Sephardi. What's his name? Studemeyer, whatever his name is, Ashkenazi, not Sephardi. People don't know that Sephardim are not. They're kind of.
That's weird. I thought it would have been that issue would have been less prevalent in Israel as opposed to America. No. That's weird. That's just weird.
No, Ashkenazim are more open. Elliot, what do you think?
I completely agree with you.
All right. This is something that's not taught.
Pardon me?
No, I'm saying that this is something that's not taught.
No, it's not. But here's the thing. I mean, the issue with the Ethiopians in Israel, yeah, is it really a race? I mean, I feel like it's because don't the Ethiopians believe they're one of the lost 12 tribes, right?
Yeah, well, that's how it started. I mean, it started because he didn't have Torah Shabbal Peh. There's an issue like a mamzerut that if you can't properly like issue a divorce, then all your kids are mamzerim essentially. Right, and you can't remove it's quite difficult to remove the status of a bastard in Judaism, which means you can't marry another Jew. It's got to be a convert. Yeah. So then, I think it was Rav Ovadia Yosef who either said they had to convert or they didn't have to convert. So half of them converted and half of them didn't. Or I don't know, like the percentage of who, like or not. So because of that, now it's become racial, because everyone's saying like, oh, like they're goyim, and also because they make up part of like the lower echelon in Israel in terms of finance. Like I spent some time in Kiryat Malachi, and they're like it's like an Ethiopian town, and it's no xenophobia. It's more like the fear of the unknown, and
then plus I'm American too, so that's like double whammy.
No, that's not true. I mean, I think that'll help you more than if you were straight from Africa.
100%.
Honestly, yeah. As opposed to Africa. Yeah.
I have a few friends who are Jewish and black, and they went to Israel. They went to yeshiva. One of them studied in yeshiva with me for the entire year. But yeah, I think with the Ethiopian Jews, I think it just became. Huh? Pardon me.
Was it Wylov?
Wylov? No, he's not a famous man. It's not every Jewish black person is famous.
Anyways, Wylov is a famous rapper. You're like a Jewish
I know.
rapper.
I saw a couple of his videos on YouTube. Yeah, no, he's a good rapper. He raps in Aramaic as well.
Yeah, well, he learned in North America.
Right. The way I look at it is just I thought being in Israel. Are most people white skinned in Israel?
No, they're more Sephardim in Israel. I'm Sephardim. I mean, nowadays we say Sephardi for anyone who's not Ashkenazi. But there's more non-white people in Israel than white people, right? I mean, Ashkenazim are the minority.
Okay.
Like in America, the Ashkenazim are the majority. But still,
that's
like the majority, i.e., let's say Sephardi, for lack of a better term, are probably more racist than Ashkenazim are.
Huh.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
And not to mention that the Ashkenazim at the beginning were racist towards the Sephardim. This is why, like, Meir Kahane, you know, his party, were made up of like disenfranchised Sephardi men because they were mistreated by the richer Jews in Israel, like, are Ashkenazi. I mean, it's kind of similar to America. Like, with Sephardim in America, like, typically are like salesmen, textiles, like I guess blue collar, while like Ashkenazim are like lawyers, doctors,
accountants.
Yeah, so even in the Torah world, the more respected rabbis are typically Ashkenazi. There's a reason why Sephardic Jews wear black hats and black coats, and Ashkenazi Jews don't wear Arab robes. Okay, and with the exception of Yerushalmis, but they're still Ashkenazi. It's because the Ashkenazim won the culture war. Because and they're the wealthier Jews, like in Israel. So I don't know. I mean, that's some info.
I would dress like a Muslim, honestly.
Oh, well, then you'll get shot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like, don't go into some synagogue dressed like a Muslim, like in Israel.
I like the robes.
Yeah, I don't. It's not that friendly. Now, like Muslims.
There's still a problem there.
I wouldn't wear it in Israel. I would wear it like if I would travel to Dubai or something like that.
No, truth be told, if they saw a black guy dressed like a Muslim, I mean,
they think I was Muslim.
Well, I mean, they won't think you're a terrorist. I mean, they'll just think that you're like confused or something. No, it's true. I'm just telling you. I've known like other black guys who sort of appropriate every mystical thing. Like they wear a fez with a robe, and I'm not talking about black Hebrews dressed like Thundercats. They just like to dress up. I mean, you ever seen Django, right? When Django got a fresh pair of clothes, I mean, he's like with a coat and all this stuff. I mean, you guys got drip, right? So that's like drip in the religious world. Uh-oh. It got quiet. Can you guys hear me, or did I get blocked?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what happened.
Okay, all right, so they hear me.
Somebody said, did Asher go too far?
Come on, man.
Hey, so Rabbi Asher, how long you been doing this for?
Well, I'm new to TikTok. I'm like TikTok like a year and a half, maybe a year. But I've been on YouTube for 15 years. I have like 1,400 videos on YouTube, like teaching Torah.
Oh, okay, yes, all right, okay, now it's making sense. I was trying to think where the heck I know you from.
Yeah.
I'm 99.9% sure I've been across a couple of your videos on YouTube. That makes sense now.
Infamous.
There you go.
No, when I started out, like I had peyot because I was living in Israel. I had like a beard and peyot and everything, and then I sort of like I fried out.
Fair enough.
That's it.
That's very, very interesting.
I've been doing this for a while. All right, guys, let's keep it going. My viewership's going down.
I mean, it's 12:15 a.m. for me, so I'm probably gonna have to go.
I'm here trying to impress Layla.
Okay. I'll stay for another 5-10 minutes. Why not?
Another 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I say, yeah.
All right, so someone's asking if I ever lived in Charlotte. Well, so I lived in North Carolina. I was in the Army, and I was stationed in Fayetteville, which is Fort Bragg.
Mm-hmm.
There, I was responding to some questions.
Actually, you've lived everywhere. I don't think every time you say something, it's somewhere new.
Oh, I lived in Denver for 3 years. I lived in Virginia for 3 years. I was in the Army, so I was stationed in Fort Benning, Fort Bragg, Fort Stewart.
Mm-hmm. What's the one in Kentucky? What's the base in Kentucky?
Fort Campbell.
My brother's there now. He's in the Army. He's a fueler. He's a fueler.
I was in the infantry.
Yeah.
That's how we do
it. He's much more chill.
Yeah, no, I bathe in blood.
Yeah, he was stationed in Poland for about a year. He just got back a few months ago, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a rabbi.
International.
Yeah, go ahead.
How did you come to converting?
I was a Christian before I converted for a very short time, but I went to seminary as a Christian, and then.
Oh my God! You need to write a book.
Yeah. Then I came to the realization that Jesus wasn't God or the Messiah, so I'm like, where do I go from here? And this is before the internet, right? So I felt that Judaism was thrust upon me. So I've always lived in Jewish areas. I grew up in Miami Beach, like in South Beach.
Right.
And I went to my local synagogue and I said, convert me, whatever. It took me like 3 years. Then I converted. And then I moved to Israel. Yeah.
But what was it about Judaism? Like, okay, you realized Jesus wasn't the Messiah, but why Judaism?
Well, because Muslims still believe in Jesus, and I had a love affair with the God in Israel. So where else am I going to go? I mean, system wasn't prevalent back then. If it was, I would still laugh at it because it sounds stupid. I mean, it sounds like it belongs in the Bronze Age. So, I mean, what alternative is there to Christianity and Islam, honestly? I mean, but it's only Judaism. It's a shame. If we would not even proselytize, like if we would have an open door policy, we'd be the largest religion because we are the parent of every other ethical monotheistic belief system. But Jews stay quiet, stupidly, when the vast majority of Jews are dying to leave religion. The average Jew leaves Judaism. He marries out, he this and that, and we're going to make it impossible for people to come in.
That's what I never understood. Like, that's what I never understood because, I mean, firstly, God tells Abraham, obviously, to be a light unto other nations. This is also mentioned throughout the book of Kings and Prophets as well. And yet, in this day and age, we keep ourselves to ourselves and we just don't let people in. And it just makes no sense to me.
Kabbalah.
Like, you can go and you can study the Talmud as much as you want, but you're forgetting some of the main concepts that was written directly in the 5 books of Moshe. So it doesn't really make sense to me.
It's Kabbalah. I mean, Kabbalah has caused Judaism to take a huge mystical nosedive. And it reinterpreted the reason to remain Jewish. Like now it's not about, making the world a better place. It's about making it a show in time because someone has to say Kaddish, like for some dead relative. They give him an Aliyas Neshama. Everything has been redefined. It's all about Mashiach now. And like the Kabbalistic notion of Mashiach is not just, like Bar Kokhba. Like we're dealing with a demigod. There's someone who will never die, who doesn't sin, who could read your mind, who could fly. Judaism has taken a huge nosedive post to Zohar. So there you go.
So that's what it says in the Zohar?
Yes. Well, I mean, not just the Zohar, because I include, Hasidut in this also. The Zohar is just like the main source text of Kabbalistic Judaism, but the Arizal made the Zohar popular, and Hasidut made the Arizal popular, and on and on.
Yeah, maybe we just haven't learned how to cross between the two.
You feel... I get it,
I know what you're going to say.
Are you married?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you're looking for a second wife then.
What makes you think I haven't got... What makes you think I don't have one already?
Oh, Zibuk Shani. No, well, it's not that. I mean, it could be like you want to find a shidduch for your kids too, because if you don't toe the line, you get mistreated in the Jewish world. I just came to the point that I don't give a crap anymore. I mean, I didn't become Jewish like to join another gang, right? I mean, I became Jewish in pursuit of some authenticity, some truth. And I would say that the average Jew checks his brain at the door. He just mumbles creed, but he doesn't know what the text says. All he knows is that they don't believe in Jesus, right?
But imagine Christians, because I'm in the same position you were before you converted. Like I've come to the realization Jesus isn't God or the Messiah, so it's like, where do I go from here? And if you pay attention to the way the way Christians speak and Jews speak, it's just Christians you just have no idea what's going on as far as knowledge of the text. It's just it's nothing. They have no idea.
Hold on. I mean, I give Christians a pass because they don't know any better. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
Who could read the Hebrew, will specifically take Rashi over the Peshat. I mean, they know Rashi's a commentator. I mean, they know that Rashi's Chumash didn't have Rashi in it, right? And they're like, no, You know how many times people have quoted Rashi to me and they thought they were quoting the Chumash? You know, like it's in the Chumash,
Yeah,
it's there, and
yeah,
it's
I see
they're
what you're
quoting
saying.
Rashi.
You know the language and you still don't know what's being said. Yeah, I
So
see
this
what
is
you mean.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
see what you
Jews, I
mean.
hold to a higher. I mean, religious Jews. I mean, secular Jews, I also think get a pass because what alternative do they have? I mean, it's like Reform or Chabad. You know, it's like all right. You know, I mean, there's Asher Meza Judaism, but I mean, that's like being like a Christian in terms of how much you're hated. So it's fine.
Okay, boys, this especially Rabbi Asher and Dante. This has been awesome, emotional, great, perfect, wonderful, and
I'll read it this
definitely
week.
let's do this again. Positive
Yeah.
and uplifting, and definitely do this again. And Dante, I wish you the absolute best of luck on your journey, and I hope you find, if it's the God, Judaism, the God of Israel, whatever's going for you, I hope you find him or it, and I hope everything goes well for you, man.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. And Rabbi Asher, until next time, Shabbat
I love your
Shalom.
accent. I want you to like to give like my hesped, you know, like my eulogy. I want it. I mean, you're like a British Morgan Freeman.
I've never been called that before. Wow,
Yeah,
look at that.
it was like getting one of those movies, like the ending when he was talking to me just now, like the ending of a movie, like
Yeah,
Oh,
with a British accent.
and it's a
you know,
Shawshank
I'm a
Redemption. You know, Andy Dufresne.
you can hire me. My prices are on my website. I do live talks and live readings of anything you want. So you
All right, what's your website?
um, the BritishGuideTalks.com.
No, you're kidding.
Yeah,
Really?
of course I'm kidding. I'm not for
Oh,
hire.
all right,
So
all right, all right.
maybe I'll start it. Maybe that'll be the next business idea. We'll see.
Oh, that's funny. You had me going because I write short stories, like I write like novels. I was like, oh, this is fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
sure,
I do have a question for you.
sure.
Like, do you notice that, like, you pick up more chicks in America because of your accent?
So again, I don't want to sound like a dickhead, but it's it's pretty insane. Like it's pretty insane how just speaking sometimes, and like I don't consider myself to be a great looking guy at all. I think I'm above average. Some people have called me more than above average. I'll take it. But just sometimes, especially I mean, even married now, I can just ask something in English in my British accent, and I don't get left alone. Like I have to pull myself away. So yes, is the answer to your question. I do.
Well, you
Yeah, I've
speak
noticed.
very well. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
British people who can't, but yeah, it sounds like you're very pompous, like in a good way. Posh,
Well,
very posh.
I'm really not posh. Oh, you should hear my brother. Wow, he sounds like I'm not gonna say. He sounds very, very, very clean. Put it like that.
Tom Hardy. No,
Yeah,
or now because what's that show? Peaky Bottoms or what's that? Peaky.
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Right. Because of that, like all the women are into British accents. I mean, not just because of that, but
Yeah, but that Peaky Blinders is based in Birmingham. They've got one of the. I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but I don't love the Birmingham accent. You can't understand what they say half the time. So I find it funny that's what's attractive now, just
No,
because
yeah,
of the
no,
show.
women love it. Like me being from New Orleans, like women is just something I don't understand what it is.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah. No, I'm a fan of this guy, Bald and Bankrupt. You ever seen him?
Who?
Bald and
Bald and
bankrupt.
Bankrupt. I mean, he's like a travel guy on YouTube, and he goes all over India. He actually speaks Hindi, but he's a British guy. Anyways, I like your accent. It's nice. It's very nice.
Well,
You
I
know.
promise to come. I promise to come and talk again. Then,
All right.
no
Cool, man.
problem.
All right, I'm gonna hop down with him. All right, Rabbi.
All the
Thank you.
best.
Appreciate it.
Shabbat shalom.
All right. All right. Have a good Shabbos, guys.
Same to you.
I'm left all alone. Anyways, I have to go. It's already 12:25. Guys, if you haven't followed me, go ahead. I mean, I'll be on for 2 more minutes if someone wants to come up and insult me. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Let's see. Yeah, no, the viewership dropped. I don't know why. Let me see. That's it. If no one else is going to come up, I think that was a good talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I guess I'll see you guys Saturday night, maybe tomorrow, right before Shabbos. We could do a little bit. But yeah, guys, thank you for stopping by. Omri, I hope you're ready. Bye-bye.